We're back for the third and final try on this very, very special OU Insider National Signing Day special. I don't know if it's special anymore because there's 2 tries, but
Oh, it's been special, Brandon. Come on.
it's powered by OEC Fiber, by the way.
That is right. OEC Fiber powering tonight's OU Insider Live Signing Day special.
Only if OEC, it works to power
it. If only they were actually powering it. If only we were connected to OEC Fiber. Maybe that's why we've crashed out twice, is because we don't have OEC Fiber. But OEC Fiber serves over 32,000 subscribers in central Oklahoma. It was awarded Best Internet Service Provider by the Journal Record and voted the best customer service by the Norman Transcript. OEC Fiber's app suite helps people manage their account, customize their Wi-Fi, and troubleshoot their connection all in the palm of their hand. OECfiber.com is the place to get started. Brandon, we touched on it earlier in the live stream, and we got a laundry list of guests. We're going to have to bounce Cade McIntyre to our open slot. Kind of convenient how that works out, but got to start first by touching briefly on the Peyton Bowen and Cecilia Kana situations. And the only thing I want to say, because we are kind of pressed for time here, because of the way that the stream has gone thus far, is to steal a quote, a slightly modified quote from Gene Hackman in the movie Hoosiers. I would hope that you would support who these guys are and not who they are not. So while there is no doubt a lot of bitterness today about not getting Peyton Bowen, not getting Cecilia Kana, that's all fine and well, but you got 24 guys who did put pen to paper today for Oklahoma. They signed their entire class in the early signing period. So I understand that everybody wants to focus on the negative, but it's about these guys tonight, and we're very excited to catch up with 9 of the Sooners commits in this class.
Yeah, this class is one of the best, as far as I would venture to say it is 100% one of the best, most balanced classes of all time in Oklahoma history. I think that is without question. You know what I mean? Like you look at the offense and the defensive side of the ball, and as Brent Venables said, and we have Cade McIntyre joining us right now. It's one of those where almost everybody in that class can play both sides of the ball. And Cade is one of those guys. I mean, he's a tight end, an excellent linebacker, could grow up and be an excellent defensive end. I mean, the dude can do it all. So, Parker, let's intro your guy, Cade McIntyre, right now.
Okay, fantastic. And the man of the hour here, or I suppose the man of the bottom of the hour, is 3-star Fremont Bergen tight end Cade McIntyre. He's actually classified as an athlete, but the plan is for him to play tight end at the University of Oklahoma. Found out this morning he's actually going to be wearing Joe John Finley's old number, 19, which is super cool. That relationship between the McIntyre family and Coach Finley has only grown and deepened over the last 6 months or so, ever since Cade initially got the OU offer. And Cade, let's start there, man. I know there's been some love within the family for OU for quite some time. Your little brother in particular, big fan growing up. So you got that Oklahoma offer. What was that feeling like? And 2 weeks later, you're committed. Like, it was in all totality a very whirlwind process, the recruitment, as it pertained to Oklahoma. So kind of walk us through how that all went from your perspective.
Yeah, it was kind of a crazy experience. Honestly, looking back on it, like, my family's always been big fans of Oklahoma. So early on, I'd say like sophomore, junior year, my family would always be like, so is Oklahoma going to call? Are they ever going to, like, I don't know. That's kind of a bigger school. I don't know if I'm that, like, caliber of recruiting process yet. And just to where my recruiting was going and schools and stuff like that. And then just kind of out of the blue, I'd gotten a few offers. And then, I think it was over a Labor Day weekend, they'd hit me up and were like, dude, we loved your film. And we saw you got a couple offers and stuff like that. And so within like a 3-day period, like you said, I had just like talking to them for like 3 days straight. And then on like that third day when I got that offer, we hopped on a FaceTime, and I was with Ted Roof, Joe John, JP, JR. So I was on with all those guys, and they just kind of were like, we love the film, and we love you as a player, and you're a perfect fit. We're going to offer you as an athlete, and didn't kind of know whether I'd be a linebacker or a tight end at that point. And so then I was really interested at that point because obviously my family was big fans, and it was just kind of like a shock factor at first. And then I got down on that visit, and then I just fell in love with the place. It was amazing from top to bottom. Just walking in there and just the coaching staff, and how I think the biggest thing that struck me was, like, I was walking in the building, and there's some schools you kind of walk in, it's like you're meeting them, but I was meeting coaches, but they already knew my name. They were running out of their offices and coming up to me like, Cade, so nice to meet you. I'm like, you too. It's like a very personable place there, and they really want the best for their players.
That's really cool, man. Can you talk about Lebby and all this and the offense? Because Venables talked today, like, hey, he said, we gave Cade a choice. Did he want to be a linebacker? Did he want to be a tight end? And he chose tight end. Can you talk about that decision? And what did playing in Coach Lebby's offense, I guess, help in making that decision?
Honestly, on my visit, like the night before, I went out to dinner with Roof and his wife, and they were like, okay, we're going to have you meet with us and kind of walk you through the defensive meeting and things like that. And then the next day on my visit, we went to like the academic part, and Joe John was sitting there waiting for me. And so then Joe John kind of basically stole me for the day. And then I was watching all the offensive stuff and going through that. And I think the biggest thing that struck me was what I had seen of the tight end film. So he'd show me what I would be doing and how the position would be played. And it was all things that I could see myself doing at a very high level. And I mean, I didn't get much defensive meetings or anything like that. And so I kind of met with him, and I met with Coach Lebby, and they're like, you're just a really good fit for this position. And whether we get you or not, we really want you in this room, but we know you'll do great there too. And I just kind of came down to just kind of a preference towards that position because I could see myself doing very, very well at it. So
now what a lot of people won't realize is that you reflect on how things have gone for Oklahoma at this point in the cycle. One of the guys that they ended up losing a commitment from was Colton Vasek, who you initially had plans to room with at Oklahoma during the brief time that he was committed there. So obviously the relationship with Vasek was very tight. You guys overlapped on the visit at the party in the Palace. But outside of Colton, whom I know you were and are very close with, who are some of the other guys that you've managed to develop really tight bonds with? And as you think about your quarterback of the future in Jackson Arnold, how much does it excite you to get to catch passes from him?
Yeah, I'd say my closest relationships right now are just I hung out with Colton Vasek on the what was that? We went down there, Party in the Palace. So on the Party in the Palace, I hung out with Colton and then Logan, Eric, and then I think those are probably the guys that are closest with. And then Bates was in that mix too. And so I went from gonna room with Colton, and then that kind of all spiraled out. And at one point I just kind of hadn't talked to him for a while, and then all of a sudden I was like, oh, he flipped. So I was like, that was a little rough. And then I was planning on rooming with Bates, and then he's an early enroll and I'm not, so that didn't work out. And so right now I'm not rooming with anybody, but I'm okay with whoever ends up rooming with me. I know everybody's gonna be awesome there. So, and then, I mean, I'd say Jackson Arnold, I'm so pumped to play with that kid. He's a phenomenal player. What I've seen, and his past year, his junior year, I was like, this is a dude. I've seen his film and all that stuff. And then he went out and had an even better season this year, just went out and balled out. And so just the improvement, and hopefully you can keep that improvement going in college and just keep getting better and better. And so I can keep getting better with him.
Now, question for the fans here. This comes in the YouTube super chat, courtesy of Mongo. He asks, what is your favorite max in the weight room that you like to brag about?
I don't know, because I say my bench. I like my bench. I'm a longer guy, so he has an excuse. But the 340 bench is a pretty nice max I like to brag about. But my squat's pretty good too, but I'm kind of big on the bench, honestly.
That's an impressive bench. 340. Yeah, that'll do, especially for somebody who's 6'4", like you mentioned. Talk a little bit about your background in the weight room, because your dad, obviously a trainer, nutritionist. I remember you telling me stories of how early you got started in the weight room, and how much he pushed you and your older brother Koa, who's now at Wyoming, to really take training seriously.
So basically, like even at a young age, me and all my 2 siblings at the time, we all were just bought into physical activity, like wanted to do sports, wanted to be active. And it was one of those things where my dad would have something, we'd always be like begging him to go. We'd be 6 a.m. boot camp, it's what it was called, where you like ran, did weights, all this stuff. We were begging him to go. And people would be like, does your dad make you come to this? And we're like, no, we want to be here. And people just looked at us all like we were crazy, but we really just loved that stuff. And so I think that started as young as like 9, 10 years old. And then kind of started developing a lot in the weight room around 2nd, 3rd grade. And just my dad's passion and love for us, and also just the physical aspect in the weight room and our sports, has just been phenomenal support, and just really helped me buy into that. And so I've kind of had that since day one, really.
Your dad, is he like is he, obviously he works out a lot, but is he like competitive with it?
No, he's not actually. He just personal trainer, and then owns a nutrition shop, and then just trains people. That's about it. He doesn't really do bodybuilding or anything like that. He just personal training.
So I guess for you were small school, right, in Nebraska. What do you think the adjustment's going to be like for you when you get to Oklahoma, as far as, I guess, the size, the scope of the city, the town? Because most people, when they come to Oklahoma, they're like, man, it's a small town. It's a big city, but it has a small town feel to it. But for you, coming from such a small area, it's going to be just big city. What's that adjustment, do you think, going to be like for you on and off the field?
That's a good question. Me going down there, I kind of got really familiar with the area. And so I think more of it's going to be just becoming more familiar. It didn't seem crazy big to me when I was down there. I think I'm not quite sure the size of Norman. I know, like, where I'm from,
150,
50, so we're around 30.
Well, 150.
I know. We're around 30,000. They're around 150. So it's going to be a little bit of an adjustment, but I don't think Norman's not crazy. So like, it's just kind of like you said, that small town feel. And so when I was down there, we were driving around. I just kind of felt like I'd be able to navigate through this pretty easily. So adjustment wise, I don't think it'll be anything crazy. But yeah.
You excited about NBA, the possibility of going to NBA games on weekends that you're free?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be interested into it just to see the athletes, but I'm not a crazy basketball guy. I'm not big into basketball, but I just love watching I just like the athletes in basketball, really. I'm not really like the technical, like, you know, people are like, basketball's not basketball anymore. Because guys, I'm like, as long as they're dunking on people, I'm interested. So
I tell you what, man, I was at Cade's signing day ceremony this morning. I was talking to the basketball coach at Bergen. He was like, man, I try to get this kid out for basketball every single year, and every single year we get this close, and then he tells me no. But needless to say, Cade his services are very much in demand on the basketball scene in Fremont. Cade McIntyre is our guest, 3-star athlete out of Fremont, Nebraska. The very first guest on the OU Insider Signing Day special presented by OEC Fiber. And Cade, we talked about the adjustment just from a small town to a little bit more of a big city perspective. But in terms of the adjustment on the gridiron, I'm sure this is a question that a lot of folks are going to have about you, knowing that you play Class C football in Nebraska, right? How do you prepare for the challenge of making a substantial jump in the level of competition? Because most of these teams that you're going up against on Friday nights, I mean, you're the biggest, strongest kid on the field, but it's a much more level playing field at the P5 level with a lot of guys that are built and developed very similar to you. So how much are you eager to get on the field and face some of the competition from guys that are cut from the same cloth?
I'm honestly, I feel like that lets me play with more of a chip on my shoulder, like something to prove, because I think a lot of people see that and they kind of doubt my talents, whether I'm good enough to play at that level. And so really that just, I mean, I'm going to buy into the weight room, into all the things that's going to come along with football. So I think it's really just going to be my ability to buy into those things and just kind of get used to it and be playing in it. But I'm so excited to play with guys that are kind of my caliber and just kind of separate myself just through just my fight, like just sheer willpower, just blowing through people and just showing my competitive edge. So that's, I mean, honestly, I think it's more of a positive than it is a negative, just being able to come there and play with a chip on my shoulder.
No doubt. So have you, I guess, do you know who you're going to roommate with?
I don't. So it'll just be someone random, I guess. But, I mean, I'm not really worried about that.
What have you been paying attention to the Peyton Bowen situation?
A little bit. I haven't been really in like contact with him. I know that's big Jackson Arnold. He's talking to him a lot. But I talked to him a little bit at the party at the Palace, and he was a really cool dude. And I've just seen that it's just up and down with him, whether he's gonna come or not. So I don't really know where he's at. No
doubt. Yeah, no, he hasn't signed yet. So I mean, he announced, but he never signed. So yeah. That's the interesting part about it. For you, do you have goals set for yourself, like what you want to do as a freshman or expectations?
Honestly, one of my biggest goals is I just kind of want to be on the travel team and kind of give myself an opportunity to be in that top 3, be traveling with the team, suit up. And it's not, I understand, like coming in as a freshman, a lot of people just kind of have these crazy expectations. But if I want to get playing time, obviously I'm not going to go in there and say I want a red shirt. I just don't think that's a positive mindset. I'm going to go in there and work my butt off and try to get there, and I'm going to fight for the starting spot as much as I can and do the best I can. So I just think I hold myself to that expectation to doing the best I can.
Now, I don't know if this is something that you've paid a whole heck of a lot of attention to, Cade. I legitimately don't know, but Oklahoma managed to get Ashton Sanders back in the fold last week, a guy that spent 3 seasons at Oklahoma, transferred to South Carolina for the 2022 season, and now plans to transfer back to Oklahoma to play his 5th year of college football. So he's going to be the elder statesman in a room that's also going to feature you, another Nebraska product in Caden Helms, and Jason Llewellyn himself, a guy that will be either a true sophomore or a redshirt freshman, but a guy whose first year on campus was this fall in Norman. So how excited are you not only to have the opportunity to learn from somebody like Joe John, but to learn from somebody like Ashton Sanders, who's seen substantial playing time in parts of 4 different seasons at the collegiate level?
Yeah, that's one of the biggest things I'm trying to kind of go into the college experience, like being so open-minded to, because tight end's not really a position I've specialized in or anything like that. So it's going to be kind of different ball game. I know they do a lot of things receiver kind of like, and also blocking inside, which I'm not really nervous about. I'm kind of ready to take on. I like hitting people, so I'm excited for that. But I'm excited to learn from Joe John and also players that have the experience, because I know it's good to take all that information in and just eat it up and then use it on the field, because it's only going to help you. It's not going to hurt you. So
Cade McIntyre, 3-star athlete out of Fremont, Nebraska, our first guest this evening on the OU Insider Signing Day special. Cade, the YouTube chat has had nothing but good things to say about you so far, so you're already well on your way to becoming a fan favorite, man. Very much appreciate your time tonight.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
That is Cade McIntyre, 3-star athlete. Fremont, Nebraska, one of the first signings that became public today for Oklahoma, as they ink all 24 of their commits during the early signing period. Now, 23 of those commits came from the high school ranks. There was 1 commit that came from the junior college ranks, and that is the man that's going to join us next. That would be Northeastern Oklahoma A&M defensive back Kendall Dolby. Now, Kendall, assuming you can hear me, can you do me a favor and turn your screen sideways there? Turn your phone screen sideways. Perfect. That is fantastic. And man, super excited for the chance to get to talk to you. I know we've both Brandon and I have talked with you in the past, but this is the first time that a lot of these fans will get the opportunity to meet you, see what type of dude you are. Obviously, a lot of folks have seen your film, noticed the junior college All-American accolades, and I guess that's a natural place to start, man, being the lone member of this Oklahoma signing class that came through the JUCO ranks. How much pride do you take in that?
I take a lot of pride in it. Just, being able to be in this position, have this opportunity, represent, JUCO guys is big, and I take a lot of pride in it.
You kind of came on late, obviously. Can you talk about the relationship that you built with Coach Hall and Coach Venables and Coach Roof leading up to everything? And you're an Ohio guy, and so can you talk about just your matriculation down to NEO and how all that took about too?
Yeah, so out of high school, when I found out I had to take the JUCO route, my high school coach hit up. The defensive coordinator who used to be at NEO last year, Coach Sully. He's actually from the Springfield area, and was familiar with my high school, my head coach. And when I found out I had to take the JUCO route, he hit my high school coach up. And basically with him being a Springfield guy, he told me, come down to NEO, take care of your business as far as grades, and everything's going to take care of itself. So that's how I ended up at NEO. And it was, it's been a blessing. But as far as building my relationship with Coach Hall, Coach Roof, Coach Venables, it's been great. I've loved every moment of it. It all started when they first hit me up. I think it was a week before they threw the O in. They just told me they love my film, love the way I played, love my character, and they just was big on building a relationship with me. And they went hard, since the day that they first ever hit me up, just calling me every day, just texting me to make sure I'm all right, calling my mom, and just making sure that relationship was there. So that's kind of where I was at with, every coach, Coach Venables, Coach Hall, Coach Roof. They've all kept the same energy as far as building that relationship and getting to know me and, understanding where I'm coming from.
Now, the folks are wanting to know, Kendall, obviously Brandon and I know the answer, but I think it's best that the folks hear the answer straight from the horse's mouth. Corner or safety? What's the plan for you at the University of Oklahoma?
They really got me. Coach Hall really got me. He really wants me to move around a lot, like he said himself. It could be at corner, it could be the nickel package, it could be safety. So truthfully, that's kind of where I'm at. I'm on the same page with him. Wherever I'm needed, wherever I can have the opportunity to make a play, I'm gonna play it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Now, the official visit that you took to Oklahoma in mid-November is really what sealed the deal. You announced your commitment not long after that. What was it about that visit, that experience? I believe it was Bedlam, was it not? The Oklahoma State game that you visited for. But what was it about that experience that sold you so immediately on Oklahoma being the spot?
It was actually when I took that, it was an unofficial visit, and kind of what sold it for me was just I kind of went in there with the mindset that I was going to commit. I just wanted to make sure, see everything, fill everything out, and I went there, and then just as far as just the game day experience, as far it all started, just meeting everybody, meeting the coaching staff, and then they had us watch the Walk of Champions and just seeing the fan base and the fans out there. And then the game, I was able to meet Coach Venables for the first time when we was about to walk out to the tunnel, and JP had pulled me aside and told me this is when I was going to meet Coach B. And when he seen me for the first time, his face just it just lit up. So I got to meet him and walk out the tunnel with him, and just the love that they showed, everything that they were saying over the phone as far as building the relationship and just the energy that they was giving me, it matched the game day atmosphere. It just matched that day. So it was big to me just being able to see that in person and, filling everything out. And that's kind of why I made my decision. I just felt like it was, it was meant to be. So that's why I committed that day.
For you, obviously you can play multiple positions. You're a versatile defensive back. Do you prefer safety or do you prefer corner?
I prefer a corner. I ain't really tripping about it, but I ain't tripping about it too much. I just like to play football, and they both got their differences. Corner is, known to cover guys and lock the guys down. Safety, you're supposed to come up and make a hit, and them trusting me to be able to do both and feeling like I can do both, that means a lot. So, you know, for Coach V feeling that way, Coach Hall feeling that way, it means a lot. So whatever they want me to play, wherever they need me, I'm gonna do it.
How excited are you to get to campus?
Oh, I'm excited. I've been in JUCO too long. I'm excited.
Okay, now we got a question from the audience here for you, Kendall. Mongo would like to know, what's the biggest lesson that you learned or have learned during your time in junior college?
The biggest lesson I probably learned is, you know, it's not, as far as like playing the game of football, you gotta love the classroom as much as you love the field. Like it's more than just you know, being an athlete. You got to be a student athlete. So I feel like the biggest lesson I learned was you got to take care of your books, be committed in the classroom, and if you do that, you can take care of yourself. So that's probably the biggest lesson I've learned.
Yeah, I mean, for you going to a place like you've grown up in Ohio and then coming down to Miami, Oklahoma, not Miami, Miami.
Yeah.
Yeah, Miami. How big of a culture shock was that for you? We'll be honest. Hey, they're Oklahomans understand.
Yeah, it was big. It was big, especially a town like Miami. At first, like when I first came down here, I was saying Miami, and they checked me real quick, like it's not Miami, it's Miami. You're not in no Miami. So it was definitely a little culture shock, but it wasn't too bad, just for the simple fact, like I knew why I was there, and yeah. I had the mindset going in there, what I was there for, and I kind of knew, like growing up watching Last Chance U, like I kind of knew it's not going to be, you know, cake and ice cream. So it was a culture shock, but at the same time, I kind of expected it, and I was able to get through it.
So was it like, I guess, was the everyday, like, I know Last Chance U kind of, I guess, dramatizes and magnifies a lot of things that aren't the everyday experience for a junior college player, but was there a lot of the issues that you see on those type of shows that happen? I mean, can you don't have to like talk about it, but can you remember times where you're like, oh my gosh, this is exactly like Netflix? You know?
Yeah, there's definitely good times. I feel like Last Chance U kind of showed all the bad. So there's definitely good times that you go and good people and good players and good, you know, good times. But now there was definitely times when I would be there and I'm like, oh no, this is exactly what I watched on Last Chance U. And so yeah, there's definitely times like that.
Now, Kendall, you're originally from Ohio, and I think many would be curious to know, coming to Oklahoma, obviously you've spent some time in the state at NEL, but how much familiarity, how much background and context did you have for everything that OU has been historically and is today before you took the visit and became acquainted with the OU staff?
I knew a lot. Being from Ohio, I remember a couple years ago, obviously growing up in Ohio, you know, any Ohio kid, you know, Ohio State's their team growing up. So yeah. I remember 2016, 2017, Ohio State played OU. I remember 2016, Ohio State beat OU. And then the next year, Becker came in and beat Ohio State at Ohio State. So I was very familiar with the program. Like, you know, when I got the offer, it was crazy to me. Just, you know, being able to receive an offer from a school like OU was big. So I was very, very familiar with the program, and I knew how legit it was.
So let me ask you something. And be honest.
I got you.
How mad were you when Oklahoma beat Ohio State in 2017 and the flag plant happened?
Man, I was mad, especially when Baker planted that flag. I was mad.
Yeah. Did you hold the grudge against Baker until you decided you were going to Oklahoma?
Can you repeat that?
Did you hold a grudge against Baker like a lot of Browns fans do, since because they're obviously Ohio State fans too, and they have like this disdain for this guy because he planted the flag and then he took him to the playoffs and then he decided, you know, he wanted out because of everything that was going on. But did you have that until disdain as well until you decided you wanted to be a Sooner? And did you grow up a Browns fan?
I actually grew up a Bengals fan, and as far as like feeling that type of way towards Baker, like I obviously being an Ohio State fan at the time, like, you know, I felt disrespected, but at the same time, Baker's a great player and he had a great game that game and a great year. Yeah, I think that was the year he won the Heisman, right? I don't remember.
It was.
So, for him to do that just shows, his competitiveness and just, his love for the game, passion for the game, and he's a passionate person. So I can't even be mad at that.
Now, this is a question that I would love to know the answer to. It's a question I'd like asking to every defensive back I interview, and I think the fans would appreciate this one as well. As a student of the game, as somebody that's grown up watching football, is there any particular defensive back that you've modeled your game after or that you've developed an admiration for?
I kind of pick from a lot of players' games, but as far as players I like to watch and model my game after, I like Denzel Ward, Jair Alexander. I like Jalen Ramsey. I like the way Jalen Ramsey plays, but I like more of his attitude. Like the DB position is an unforgiving position, and just his mentality to just shake plays off and just be himself and just have that dog in him. Like you got to have that at the DB position. So I definitely like to pick and watch, and learn from a lot of dudes.
I guess finally, Brent Venables' system. Everybody talks about just how intricate it is. Have you started diving into the playbook any yet? Have they sent that to you? Have they allowed you to start to learn some of the verbiage, or is that something when you committed, you started talking to a little bit with Coach Hall and all that, just trying to learn stuff so you're at least semi-ready when you get there to learn on the fly?
I wasn't allowed to learn the playbook or nothing like that until I officially signed. So, but as far as when I took my official visit up there a couple of weeks ago, Coach Hall brought me into his office and we sat down and watched a little bit of film, and he taught me a few of the verbiage, the words that they use and what you would do on this play, kind of just quizzed me, seeing where my mind was at. So I was definitely able to learn a little bit. Obviously, there's more to it, but I haven't been able to dive, fully into the playbook yet.
Kendall Dolby, number 6 junior college player in the nation per 24/7 Sports, and a late addition to Oklahoma's signing class, the only one from the JUCO ranks. Kendall, thanks so much. Appreciate your time, and we'll look forward to seeing you in that Sooner Crimson this spring.
Yeah, I appreciate you guys.
Thank you, guys.
That is Kendall Dolby. And as we make the transition from one future member of Oklahoma's secondary to the next, we welcome to the show one Makari Vickers, the Sooner pride of Tallahassee, Florida. Well, I guess I don't know if I can give him sole credit to that claim, because the Sooners signed 2 from the area, not only Makari, but Keon Brown as well. And those 2 are very tight. We'll discuss that in detail with Makari here in a second. But Makari Vickers joins the show. Man, super excited to have you on. Obviously, we've talked extensively before, but here on signing day, on the precipice of several of you guys, nearly half the class, or over half the class, 13 of the 24 getting ready to join the program in January. Very curious to see from your perspective as somebody that committed back in August, how the relationships have deepened over the course of your time as a commit with your peers that were already members of the class and some of the late additions that Oklahoma made.
So, definitely deepen. We have a chosen 23 group chat. We try to communicate every now and then in there just to get to know each other a lot. And then, with the season not going as well as it did, we make sure we hit each other up to just say, hey, man, we got this. We're gonna come in and change the culture and make sure we get everything going. So, between the season and, the group chat, we make sure we try to keep in touch and grow our relationships.
You're from, obviously, the Florida Panhandle. How hard is it to get out of there and away from Florida State? I mean, growing up, obviously everybody is a Florida State fan.
Yeah.
But Oklahoma comes down there and offers you and starts recruiting you really hard, and you've got the Alabamas of the world that you were really, almost a Crimson Tide, and then you got Auburn, you got Florida State, Georgia Tech, all those schools right there in that little vicinity. How hard is it to get out of there and kind of want to spread your wings and go check out these other programs? And how much did the fact that Oklahoma is going to the SEC play into your decision?
So it was definitely hard, so being surrounded by Miami Hurricanes, Florida Gators, obviously, the Seminoles in Tallahassee, then, you go a couple miles, 100 miles up north, you got Alabama, Auburn, Georgia, all these other schools. So it was definitely hard because, when I was early into my recruiting process, they were recruiting me heavy. I was a sophomore and then leaning into my junior year when things started to, when things start to die down and, try to, come to the end of the line, they try to make sure they push hard. But when Oklahoma, stepped in and I took a visit, a lot of things changed. It opened my eyes. It just made me, ponder and want to explore my options and spread my wings. So when I finally did, take my couple visits out there, it just solidified that I should, go and make sure that Oklahoma's the right move. And then, with Oklahoma coming into the SEC, that played a big role because then I'll be able to face off against some of the Alabamas and the Georgias and Auburn. So that also played a role.
Now, I think as I reflect on some of the conversations I've had with you in the past, some of the things I've seen from you on social media, you've become a fan favorite already, even before the signing process, because you're already showing off that OU DNA, man, in that you have a very conspicuous disdain for the University of Texas. So watching what happened on October 8th, Texas going up against a quarterbackless Oklahoma team and beating them 49-0. How much did that motivate you and the rest of the guys to make a statement in the years to follow and emphasize that that's going to be the exception and not the rule as it pertains to that OU Texas rivalry going forward?
Oh, yeah, that definitely just fired me and the guys up. Going in there, everybody had expectations that Oklahoma was going to go in and hold them to a certain amount of points or just steamroll them all together. But for them to, do us in the fashion that they did and take the hat, it just made us more fired up and more motivated. So, that nation, when we face them off, we're just going to do the same thing to them and make sure that for the years to pass, we do the same thing. So it definitely lit a fire up on us, to come in, especially a lot of us coming in January to come in and get ahead of the book just so we can kill them in particular. Yeah.
Oh, so you're predicting 49-0, huh?
Yeah. I want a 60-0, but 49.
Okay. Well, 63-15, what is it, 65-13, those 55-13, those games have actually happened in the last decade.
Yeah.
So this is the first time Texas has actually done that to OU in my lifetime, at least. So outside of 2005 with Vince Young. So, yeah, that's crazy, man. We got a question from a fan here. Bongo 5817 asked Makari, what's the thing off the field that you're most excited about once you get to Oklahoma?
It'll probably be the Soul Mission. That's probably one of the biggest things that they pushed when I was in the recruiting stage. They made sure that they're built the uncommon man. That's Coach V's whole thing, the uncommon man. The uncommon legacy. So he just wants to build the whole man in general. So not just the athlete, but also wholesome man off the field, a respectful man, an honorable man, a man with integrity, honesty, all that type of stuff. So a lot of people, they look for, structure, but a lot of them can't take it. A lot of guys look for structure, and that's one of the things that I'm looking for, to have structure in my life and a lot of things. So the Soul Mission for sure.
Now, talk about how much that played into the recruitment process, the Soul Mission in particular, not just as it pertained to your perspective on it, but your family's perspective as well, because obviously they were all heavily involved in the process right there alongside you every step of the way. So them being able to show up to a place like Oklahoma and know that he's going to be taken care of as not just as a player, but as a person, as we get ready to send him off to college. How much of a reassurance do you think that was to the rest of your family?
It was definitely reassuring because, when they saw how much effort that Coach Venables is putting into the Soul Mission, it's definitely a relief off their shoulders because they know that when I move in and they have to come back home here in Florida, they know that I'll be in good hands and good protection. And that they won't have to worry about them getting a late night call saying I done messed up or I done did this. So it was definitely a relief for them as well, and then they're firm believers in Christ. So, with Soul Mission being built as Christ as the foundation, that's also just a big thing as well.
Are Brent Venables and this staff as genuine as they seem to the rest of the outside world?
Yeah, they are definitely as genuine as they seem. It's a lot of schools that can put on the front, but when you step on campus and get in the facilities and meet some of the players, some of the staff, and you get to walk into Coach Venable's grand office and all this other stuff. You get to see that his energy, his passion for the game, and his passion for building someone is real. So yeah, it's definitely as real as it seems, for sure.
Your relationship with Coach Valai, can you talk about that, and how long has he been recruiting you? Did that start back at Alabama?
Yeah, yes, sir, it did. So it started heavily when Alabama actually had like a 707 camp, 101 camp over the summer, and Coach Valai, he was looking at me then, and I kind of did my thing there, and then our relationship took off from there. And then while he was recruiting at Alabama, and then when he finally got the job at Oklahoma, he made sure that I was one of the first people that he hit up once he got his Oklahoma number. And then when he got everything settled, we got to move in and get in the facilities and stuff. He made sure that he got me on the phone with Coach Venables. So that kind of solidified our relationship, and it's just been building off that ever since.
Now, your relationship with Keon Brown, I know I touched on it at the very top, but that's a guy you've known for a while. It's not often that Oklahoma recruits that particular area of the country, where you're from, the Florida Panhandle, but they get not one but two kids from that very area in you and Keon in this cycle. How nice is it just to have another guy that you've got some background with, some familiarity with, making that transition to Oklahoma with you?
It's definitely nice, because we have the same background. We can relate to a lot of the things because we're coming from the same area. And plus, he was one of the guys that, like, once he committed before me. So once he committed, he was one of the guys that really pushed for me to, like, look into OU, deeper and further to make sure that I should be one of the ones that should commit as well. So with him being a commit, with both of us going up there, that'll pretty much make it easier for us. So, we can always have somebody to lean back on just because we feel lonely because we're from the same area.
I guess, have you talked about having everybody from the same area? Obviously, your relationship with Keon Brown, but there's a lot of kids from Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, a ton.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is.
Have you all started, like, y'all have like a nickname for yourselves? Like, what is there, like 6 or 7 kids from Florida in this?
Yes, it's a good number of us. No, we don't have a nickname, but I try to make sure I get in contact with a lot of the Florida guys. And I probably might have to steal that from you. I'm not gonna lie, I might have to steal that. But I'm trying to make sure that I get in contact with some of the Florida guys. I talked to Ryan Lewis the other day because my quarterback, he's from Temple Catholic. My quarterback this year actually was from Temple Catholic last year. So he's actually who hooked me up and got me on the phone with him. So we just been in a constant relationship, but we definitely have to come up with a nickname or something for the Florida guys for sure.
Have you talked with Derek LeBlanc any?
Yeah, a little bit. When he was getting recruited by Alabama, we were kind of close then, and then when he came, he was at Oklahoma one of the times I came to Oklahoma. So that we just been building off that ever since. And the funny thing about it is, before we committed to Oklahoma, we were in this like Alabama group chat, and that's how we first really connected for real.
Mm-hmm. Makari Vickers is our guest, the first of the 8 o'clock hour in the OU Insider Signing Day special, brought to you by OEC Fiber, serving over 32,000 subscribers in central Oklahoma. The state of Oklahoma ranks 46th in the nation for internet availability, and OEC Fiber aims to change that by ensuring reliable high-speed internet is available to everyone in central Oklahoma. You can get started at oecfiber.com. And Makari, we just talked about you and the rest of the Florida boys and kind of the group that you have there, but as it pertains to your position group and the secondary in this class specifically, it's a deep class of guys. Not only do you have you and Jacoby, who we'll talk to shortly, but you got Eric McCarty in the fold, Josiah Wagner, Kendall Dolby, and I'm spacing on somebody. Dave McCullough, there you go. That's number 6. So 6 defensive backs in this class for the Sooners. So as you think about the core that could comprise this Oklahoma secondary a year or 2 or 3 down the road, how much of a challenge and responsibility are you guys taking upon yourselves to help be part of the change in the back end of the secondary at Oklahoma?
And we definitely take a lot of responsibility because, when you talk about Oklahoma, it's always about the offense and hardly ever about the defense. So, with the group of guys that's coming in with this 23 class, with me, Daya, Jacoby, Kendall, Eric. He's a sleeper. He's my guy. Eric's my guy. He's a sleeper in our class for sure. He's definitely a playmaker. But we definitely take on that responsibility to change the culture of the Oklahoma defense. Because they aren't really known for defense. So we feel like it's our job to change the culture for defense.
You say that they're not known for defense because in your lifetime, I mean, the important parts when you were watching football for the last 4 or 5, 6 years or so, 4 or 5 years, they have struggled defensively. But has Brent Venables showed you, I guess, what Oklahoma was up until probably about 2016 defensively?
Yeah, he definitely did. He's going to be bringing in that defensive resume of his from his previous years at Clemson and these years at Oklahoma. It kind of showed itself. It kind of previewed itself at the last 5 weeks of the season. We had a pick almost every game those last 5 weeks. So it's definitely previewed itself, and I feel like with the class that we have coming in, it's only going to get better from there.
Do you feel like I know you guys think you guys are going to be program changing, and you said you guys have talked about that quite a bit. What do you consider your goals to get to that point in year one?
We definitely have to come in and first of all, we just have to come in and work and get our bodies right and meet our nutritional weight goals first before we can do anything on the field. We definitely have to meet our goals in the playbook and make sure everybody knows, their position first, and then be able to have a little bit of versatility. And then when we come in, we want to make sure that we get that Big 12 championship, and then we move over to SEC, then we get that SEC championship. That I really feel like that'll really put our classes one of the greatest classes at OU.
Who are some of the guys currently on that roster at Oklahoma? I imagine you've had the opportunity to meet some of the players currently on the roster, interact with them. So who are some of the guys that are already in the mix at Oklahoma in the secondary that you're excited to get to work alongside and learn from?
Definitely Woody and Kanai. Kanai was my host when I took my official visit, and I kind of chopped it up with him. He took me back to his dorm, and we kind of chopped it up. And he's a real cool guy. And Woody, and then when I FaceTime Coach Valai every now and then, Gentry's always in his office, and they always talking ball. So Coach made sure I get on the phone with him as well. So I've been looking forward to those guys and getting, into meeting rooms and getting in the weight room with those guys and getting to work.
All right, man. Yeah. So for you, I guess at the end of the day, you're a versatile guy. You can play multiple positions. You can play corner. You can play safety. You can do a lot of different things. Do you have a preference?
I definitely prefer. I definitely prefer corner, but like you said, with my versatility and my size and stuff, I could come in and play the cheetah nickel position as well as safety. So with my versatility, I feel like I could be well-rounded and, learn all different spots. That way, if I'm needed in either one spot, I could come in and step to the plate.
Gotcha.
Makari Vickers, 4-star defensive back out of the state of Florida, a top 100 player nationally, I believe classified as the number 6 safety in the country according to 24/7, but going to start out at cornerback for Oklahoma, one of those guys that you can expect to bounce around, see a lot of snaps at a certain point in time, be it at safety, be it at corner, be it in the nickel. Makari, man, always great to talk with you. Appreciate the time, and we'll catch up again soon.
All right, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Makari Vickers, the highest ranked, I believe, of the defensive backs in Oklahoma's class as of right now. He and Jacoby Johnson have kind of been flip-flopping back and forth with regard to their ranking. And speaking of Jacoby Johnson, that's going to be the next guy that we get the opportunity to chat with here on the OU Insider Signing Day special, brought to you once again by the fantastic folks at OEC Fiber. OECfiber.com is the place to get started. Serving 32,000 subscribers in central Oklahoma and ensuring reliable high-speed internet is available to everyone in the vicinity. Jacoby, we can't see you. Let's hope we can hear you. How are things going, man? How are you?
You got your audio on, bud? Mute? I'm assuming not.
Bueller? Well, we'll get the technical difficulties sorted out here momentarily. But I guess while we work on getting Jacoby connected, Brandon, I guess this gives us an opportunity to get folks up to speed on the Bowen situation, on the Akana situation, and then we'll touch base with Jacoby as soon as we can confirm that his video and audio are working. But you touched on Bowen at the top of the show. Let's revisit it. We just talked to Makari. He and Jacoby are the capstones of Oklahoma's class in the secondary. But there were a lot of folks that were counting on getting a signature from Peyton Bowen today. A lot of Sooner fans that were anticipating that he was going to join OU's class. Needless to say, that is not the case. For the moment, he is committed to Oregon. He is not signed. That situation continues to be very, very hairy as evening rolls over into night here on Wednesday. What is the nature of that situation from where you stand, Brandon?
Well, I mean, I know they want to have a decision done at some point, today. That's the ideal.
That'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that's the ideal. I'm tired of it. Just as tired as OU fans are. This guy's tired of it because I've been tracking it for, it feels like, a whole year. Ever since he committed to Notre Dame, it has been a constant. He's going to Oklahoma. He's going to Notre Dame. He's going to Oklahoma. He's going to Notre Dame. And then all of a sudden, Oregon pops in. And look, like I said, the source I talked to about Oregon was they were going to shake up the apple cart a little bit, and they did. Oh, did they ever? And you heard last night. So I got a call last night from two different people, and they said Oklahoma's out, and it's Oregon and Notre Dame. But here's the but about all that. When you talk to actual people that were around that, they're like, no, Oklahoma's very much in it. And when you talk to people around Norman, there was a lot of confidence about it. And then you hear the story of today after the signing, obviously, because he hasn't signed with Oregon yet. And there is a chance that he may never sign with Oregon at this point, which is the most interesting part of this whole deal. And I'm not saying he's not going to, but there's a decent chance that he doesn't. I mean, because if he was going to sign with Oregon, guess what? He would have signed with Oregon already. Like, it would have been hat, sign, click, photo of the LOI, and send in. And you're done with it.
Well, to be fair, at this point, nothing about this recruitment.
No, and that's right. Nothing is normal about this recruitment. It has been a thorn in my side for a year. And it's not because I like the kid. I like the family. But just like it's been exhausting. It has been utterly exhausting. So you can only imagine the coaching staff that's having to deal with it, and Jackson, who's a close friend, and his girlfriend, and everybody around that's having to deal with the ups and downs in the circle that everybody keeps going round and round. And it's craziness. But at the same time, he's dealing with a life-changing decision. And he gets there, and there's buzz now that Oklahoma was going to be the pick and he was going to surprise people. And that is like literally what everybody around Geyer is now saying is like, look, there was a hat underneath there and a bag, and it was Oklahoma, and he was supposed to surprise, and he picks up the Notre Dame hat, throws it, decided last second, going to Oregon just off the cuff, put it on. And then after he did it, he was like, I think I may have made a mistake. And from that point on, he's been on the phone with Notre Dame and Oklahoma. And we're going to see where it goes from there. Like, that is literally what's going on. Like, that's it. Like, nobody knows anything else. Like, I don't know what he's going to do. I don't really know if he was going to pick Oklahoma or not. I have no idea. I'm going off what I'm told. I'm relaying it to everybody else. At this point, I know nothing, I see nothing. The old what is it? Hogan's Heroes. Like that's how I feel right now. And it's
hard to believe anything.
By the way, that I gave the Hogan's Heroes reference. I'm 39 years old. I'm barely old enough to remember the reruns, but that's what it is. Like, I know nothing. I see nothing. I'm just relaying what I'm told, and we're going to go from there. And if they have a decision done tonight, they have one done tonight. That is the hope. That is the plan. But I know that the family, the girlfriend, friends, or his support system are all there trying to help him make a decision. There's a lot of people that believe he wants to go to Oklahoma. Like, wants to go to Oklahoma. And that's why, because he had a chance to sign with Notre Dame. He had a chance to pick Notre Dame, right? The hat was on the table. Threw it. Picks up the Oregon hat, puts it on. It's like, oh, let's go. But, I mean, we'll see. I mean, he's had those chances to do that. And there's a lot of people that believe he wants to go to Oklahoma. And there's people around him that would rather him go elsewhere. And that is where the fighting is commencing, and the arguments and the delay is commencing, and it is what it is. So
let's briefly try to see if we can connect with Jacoby here. And if not, we'll resume this conversation. Jacoby, can you hear us?
I don't. Yeah.
We do not have Jacoby connected. Okay. So back to Peyton Bowen. Yeah, Brandon, it's become very, very difficult to trust anything.
Yes, exactly.
Anyone. And this is the wildest recruitment I've ever covered, and I haven't been too long, but trust me, I was talking to someone tonight who has covered recruiting for a lot longer than I have. And I'm talking like 2+ decades in the business. And that individual told me, for the first time in all my years of covering recruiting, I've gotten to the point where I just don't care anymore. Like, I don't want to make any more calls to figure out where things stand between Bowen and Oregon and Notre Dame and Oklahoma, because I'm just that tapped out. And I can't fault that particular individual for thinking that, Brandon, because that's just about where I'm at too.
Yeah, I'm tapped out too. Like, my give a crap, like who has two thumbs and doesn't give a crap. The old Bob Kelso joke off Scrubs. Bob Kelso. Brandon Drumm doesn't give a crap right now. Like, he's just like, dude, sign somewhere. So that's where I'm at, and it's utterly frustrating to cover. But at the same time, you have to feel for the kid too, because he's stuck between a rock and a hard place. Like, this is like, everybody wants to bash the kid, and the kid is literally doing. And I honestly, like, this is crazy. Like, how crazy is this? Like, there are people that believe. Now, I'm not reporting this, and I'm not saying I believe this, okay? I want a disclaimer right now. Make sure everybody understands that. But there are people that believe that he did all that to create the conversation with his parents so they would listen to him about Oklahoma and where he wanted to go. And that actually seems kind of feasible at this point. Does it not, with how crazy this has gone?
It like, just gets more and more twisted.
Everybody has to listen to where I want to go. So, like, it's plausible at this point, but I'm not saying I believe it. I believe nothing, but I'm taking in everything that everybody wants to tell me, and I'm trying to kind of, process all of it. And it's almost impossible to process, Parker.
Well, and what's even more impossible, Brandon, is the task of relaying all that information, especially on the heels of what happened this morning, because the last thing you want to do at this point in time with some of the discourse that has taken place on social media today is you don't want to put out all this information only for it to become obsolete or incorrect when things change. Because Lord knows that social media was full of folks today who, after Bowen committed to Oregon, said, you guys need to get better sources, or how could you not have known that this was coming? What are insiders even for? And so,
yeah,
like, it's at a certain point, it is a relatively fruitless endeavor to get inside the minds of some 17, 18-year-old kids. And I think if you're an Oklahoma fan, that's why you're so thankful for the likes of Jackson Arnold and PJ Adebawore and Jacoby Johnson and Caden Green and Sammy Omasigo, high-profile top 100 players that didn't quite honestly, they didn't feed anybody any BS.
Yeah.
They were very straightforward with the recruiting process, shot straight with everybody, didn't try to keep any secrets or pull any fast ones. And here Oklahoma is with a top 10 class on National Signing Day. We're still trying to get Jacoby. No, it says Jacoby is theoretically up via our producer here. So, Jacoby, can you hear us now?
I don't think this is gonna. Let's go to Caden.
This may be.
I'll text Jacoby. There was somebody that said, "Why don't you have Jacoby over? Like he lives down the road."
That's very true. You might as well just do that. Oh, and here is the next guest here on the OU Insider Signing Day special, brought to you by OEC Fiber. Head to oecfiber.com to get started. OEC Fiber services over 32,000 subscribers in central Oklahoma, ensuring reliable high-speed internet is available to everyone in central Oklahoma. Caden Green, 4-star offensive lineman out of Lee's Summit, Missouri. I'm not more than a few miles from Caden right now because I headed up to witness his signing day ceremony earlier this evening at 6 p.m. He faxed in his papers this morning, but there was a ceremony at Lee's Summit to celebrate Caden and a couple of teammates putting pen to paper for their schools of choice. And the school of choice for Caden is and has been the Oklahoma Sooners for quite some time. Caden, man, always great to talk to you. And you're one guy to whom most of these fans are no stranger. But as you look back on the recruitment process and your relationship with Bill Bedenbaugh, the way that it evolved over that year plus, offer to commitment. What was it about Coach B and what was it about Oklahoma that left you sold in the end?
The biggest thing for me really with Coach B was how he puts it, how he handles his guys and how he puts his guys in the league every year. He's second to none in that category. So in that aspect, it was kind of a no-brainer for me.
So for you, you grew up in Oklahoma for a little bit, and you were born in Tulsa, correct?
Yes, sir.
What was it like, I guess, when you got that offer? And what you grew up an Oklahoma fan, obviously. Was that something that you dreamed of doing even when you moved up to the Kansas City area? Was Oklahoma always that school for you?
Oh, yeah. When I got that offer, it was kind of surreal to me. I mean, of course, growing up, I've always been an Oklahoma fan, and that was kind of always my dream school, and getting that offer was, like, a big deal to me. But, like, at the same time, being a recruit, like, all these schools were, like, being in a dream. All these visits were crazy, so I still wanted to go through the process and do all that stuff, but it really was like a dream come true to me.
You talked about the process, and you committed back in June, if my memory serves me correctly here. And the process was over for you 6 months before signing day. But the process didn't entirely end there because the 2022 season rolls around. Oklahoma has some scuffles on the gridiron in Brent Venable's first year at the helm. And you were one of many guys in Oklahoma's class, and this is just the nature of the game. A school starts losing. They're not living up to expectations. Coaches elsewhere are going to try to reestablish contact and see if they can maybe get a foot back in the door and see if you'd be willing to reevaluate your options based on the way that the school you're committed to is performing or not performing on the gridiron. So talk to us a little bit about the process from commitment to signing and how much you had to sift through and sort through with regard to your pledge to Oklahoma, the solidity of it, and having to field the occasional advances from schools that were looking to poach you.
Me personally, like I didn't talk to many schools after I committed. Like I was pretty clear and pretty firm in my commitment. So And a lot of schools knew that. I think the only school that really reached out after Oklahoma was struggling was Michigan, just because I got a friend over there that's committed over there, Kendrick Bell. But other than that, I didn't really talk to many schools after I committed, so I didn't really have to worry about that.
You have you gotten to know a lot of your commit, all the commits in your class, a lot like the Josh Bates of the world, Logan Howland, all those guys. How close have you guys got as an offensive line group?
As the offensive line group, I mean, we know of each other, we're cool with each other, but I think as a whole group of commits, I think as of late we've really been starting to talk and communicate with each other more and really start to get to know each other more as a whole group.
How about your relationships specifically with the other offensive linemen in this class? Heath Ozaida, Logan Howland, Josh Bates. I know y'all talk quite frequently. I know you and Josh were instrumental in keeping Logan Howland locked in with Oklahoma, because there was a time there leading up to his commitment where there was some buzz for Oklahoma. The Sooners were feeling pretty good about their odds of getting Howland in the fold, but Iowa was right there in the mix as well. And I remember having a text conversation with you, and I think you and Josh had just been on the phone for quite some time with Logan, making sure that he was aware Oklahoma was the place for him. So as you guys have gotten the chance to spend more and more time around each other and remain in contact with each other throughout this whole process, I mean, how much excitement do you have now as you prepare to take those relationships to the gridiron and learn and work alongside these guys?
Yeah, we don't talk a whole bunch, but we talk quite a bit. I'm excited. I'm excited to play with those guys. Me and Josh will be there early. I think Heath and Logan will be there in the summer. So, I mean, I'm excited to play with those guys for sure.
Is there there's this rumor going around, and that's why I want to ask a recruit this, that some of y'all get to go, I guess, maybe travel for the bowl game. Is that something you've heard or a possibility?
Yeah, I was about to do it, but I found out that you can't play in the All-American game and play in the bowl game, so I'm just going to do the All-American game. But, yeah, I was getting ready to.
So do you know – so Derek LeBlanc, I guess, is one that I've heard is going to potentially play and practice. Have you heard that as well?
Yeah.
Do you know some of the other guys that are going to do that?
Right now, I only know that Derek is. I think Champ might be, but I'm not too sure. But yeah, I think just those two.
That's interesting. I mean, is it actually get to play in a bowl game and right on? Isn't that nuts? You just graduated high school and you get to play in a bowl game.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool. They would have just given us a jersey, but that still would have been pretty cool to travel with the team and all that.
Now, Caden, we got a question from the audience for you. This comes courtesy of Mongo, who has been peppering us with questions tonight in the Super Chat. Appreciate you, Mongo. He says, Caden, iron sharpens iron. Which player currently on the roster are you most looking forward to facing in practice?
Yeah, I mean, all those guys we signed up front can go. Me and PJ, I mean, we gone against each other before. He can go. Derek, I know he can go. Champ, I know he can go. Taylor, I know he can. So just all of them, really. I'm excited to go against all of them. I think we signed some really good D linemen, and I'm excited to go against all of them.
Now, I just want people to know, before you jump in here, Brandon, and I'll defer to you for the next question, but I just want people to know, Caden Green knows ball, folks, because I remember back when PJ Adebawore was still unranked, I believe. I don't even know if he was a 3-star yet. And I was talking to Caden about him once I caught wind of the fact that OU was very much on the radar for PJ, and likewise PJ was very much on the radar for OU. And Caden was like, oh, yeah, that maybe is the best edge rusher in the whole state right there. And lo and behold, several months later, PJ's a 5-star. So needless to say, that's another guy that OU fans should be very, very excited to have in the fold. And again, iron sharpens iron. That's another player that Caden, Heath, Josh Bates, Logan Howland, all those young Sooner offensive linemen are going to have their hands full dealing with in practice every day.
Yep, absolutely.
So you're a big guy. I mean, because I saw a photo of you and Phil Loadholt standing next to each other, and you're one of the people that makes Phil Loadholt look like an average size human being next to you. With your size and with his size, and obviously with his ability and his past in the NFL and his success in college and in the NFL, how close have you all become? And was that something that drew you to Oklahoma, the fact that you could get to learn from somebody that has that deep of success? Not just Bill Bedenbaugh, who's known for developing tons of NFL offensive linemen, which is just a huge plus for you, obviously, but to also have another guy that's lived it, breathed it, and done it at such a high level.
Yeah, Coach Phil, I mean, he was one of the best at what he did back when he did it. And a lot of people look over the fact that Oklahoma is so, like, even right now is so O-line rich. Like, even from like Coach Sway, the strength and conditioning coach, he was O lineman at Florida and won in the national championship. Coach Levy, he played O-line. So just like really the whole staff is set up for offensive linemen to be successful. And I think Coach Phil, me and him really started to get close, like on visits and stuff. And he would text me. I've been texting him while I need to, but me and him talk quite frequently, and we started really to get close. But just the whole program is built on offensive linemen and for offensive linemen.
How big is Phil Loadholt? Give some people some context, because you're 6'6", man. You're not a small guy. So how big is Phil Loadholt?
He's probably like 6'8", 6'7". He's big. He's tall. He's not as big as he used to be. Well, he's still pretty big, but he's a nice size. I'll say that.
So have you talked about the guys that you're excited to go up against that are in your class? Have you thought about some of the guys you get to go up against in practice that are already at Oklahoma, and how much does that excite you to get to learn? Obviously Ethan Downs was second team All Big 12, but do you have any guys that you're excited to go up against that maybe are committed to Texas or Kansas State or Kansas or anything like that?
I don't like nobody at Texas, but I'm pretty excited about that. Huh? What'd you say?
You just made everybody happy in the chat.
Yeah, I don't like them. I be seeing stuff on my Twitter feed, Texas stuff, and it just make me mad. But I mean, I'm just excited to compete and practice every day and games, all that. I like competing against the top talent, and I can't wait to start and see where I'm at.
I want to ask you about BV, Caden, because you're one of the very few guys that I would categorize as an overlap recruit, in that you were pursued by the previous staff before Coach Riley left for USC, and you were pursued by the new staff. Of course, a lot of that had to do with the retention of Bill Bedenbaugh, but you're one of the few guys in this signing class that had an offer and that were being actively recruited by the former staff. So take us back to last November, December, all that's going down. I remember talking to both you and your dad quite frequently over the course of the process. Riley on his way out the door, the week of the coaching search, Venables touching down and getting right straight to business with his new staff at Oklahoma. Upon meeting Coach Venables and getting the chance to be around him on a couple of those visits earlier this spring, January, February, what really stood out to him and what stood out about him rather, and solidified your belief that, okay, Oklahoma can still be high on my list and can be a serious consideration for me under the direction of this new head coach?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me was the fact that he cared about the person as well as the football player. And of course he's had a track record of success. So I know he's legit at what he does on the football field, but he cares about people off the football field just as much as he does on it. And his soul mission program and all that stuff, he definitely shows that he cares about people outside of football just as well as on the field.
For you as a offensive lineman, and you said obviously Coach Levy played offensive line in college, and that appealed to you. But his offense, the scheme of his whole deal, how much does that appeal to you? Like what they do offensive line wise, some of their blocking schemes and all that type of stuff. Was that something that you looked into with all of the schools that you were considering, not just Oklahoma? And what made Oklahoma so different in that aspect than other programs?
Yes and no. I paid attention to it a little bit schematically, but not like it wasn't like a huge deciding factor for me, because I know any system I go into will be different from what I'm used to in high school. But I definitely say Oklahoma is definitely one of the more different schools in the fact that everything is so fast and tempo. That's not something that you usually see every day. But, anything's going to be different from high school, so I didn't pay attention to it too much.
Now, Caden, you're a guy that has the ability to play all three positions on the offensive line, tackle, guard, center. I remember back at the Future 50, you were repping it all three and holding your own against some of the very best in the nation on the defensive side of the ball. But I know Coach Biedenbow recruits all his guys as versatile offensive linemen, not really with the intent of pigeonholing them to one specific position. That said, everybody's got to start somewhere. Do you have any indication, any idea of where Coach Biedenbow is going to start you out once you get to campus in January?
I'm not even sure. Just kind of, I'm willing to play any position he needs me to. Any position I can get on the field at. I don't really care what position it is, but he hasn't mentioned it, and I'm not even sure if he knows yet. So we'll have to see.
I guess finally for me, do you know who you want to roommate with?
Yeah, me and PJ, we're gonna room together.
Okay, so now you guys are gonna be able to get after each other, and not just on the sticks playing Madden or whatever. Like you guys are gonna get after each other. I got you in practice, or you got me in practice, that type of deal. Yeah. Do you guys have a competitive friendship? Like, is it just kind of, once things are done on the field, you get off the field, it's just over with?
Yeah, it's kind of like we go at it. Like I remember in the scrimmage, we was going at it, we was talking back and forth, and then kind of like off the field, we was just chatting it up. We was cool, laughing. And I think that's kind of how it is with us. On the field, of course, stuff gets heated. Words are exchanged. It's all part of the game. But off the field, it kind of just, is what it is. You get better, you move on.
Four-star offensive lineman Caden Green is our guest on the OU Insider Signing Day Special, brought to you by OEC Fiber. Caden, from the audience, Blake says, my opinion is that you're going to be the next Trent Williams. On that topic, any particular individual, and this is something that every fan, I think, has a real interest in knowing, just as they get to know you. Is there any particular individual, any particular player or group of players that you've found yourself taking cues from, modeling your game after over the years?
Yeah, I mean, of course, Trent Williams and Lane Johnson, they're at the top of their game. So I definitely say I watch them quite a bit. Orlando and Creed, I'm a Chiefs fan, so of course I'm going to watch them, but yeah, I say those four I watch probably the most, just because of the type of players they are. And of course, Creed and Orlando are not only really good players, but they're on my favorite team. So I definitely say those four.
Regarding the Chiefs, I got to ask you, what's gone wrong with Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Pacheco is just a monster. Pacheco, he's a freak, and he's gonna be really, really good. So, I mean, I don't know. He just kind of got beat out.
So, what do you think about the Broncos? I know they suck this year, but I mean, did you grow up hating the Broncos because you grew up in Kansas City?
Yeah, I don't like the Broncos. I don't like the Raiders, and I don't like Texas. Those are three teams I've never liked at all.
There you go. Denver Broncos, Oakland Raiders, and the Texas Longhorns. Those are.
I am a Broncos fan, so there you go.
Oh yeah, that's rough. That is rough.
No, Caden Green, thanks so much for joining us, man. Four-star offensive lineman, Lee's Summit, Missouri, going to be one of 13 early enrollees for the Sooners in the month of January. Take care, man. We'll catch up again soon.
Appreciate it.
That is Caden Green, folks, the highest ranked of Bill Bedenbaugh's 4 signees in this class of offensive linemen here in the 2023 cycle for Oklahoma. Obviously, the 3 others are Logan Howland, Heath Ozaida, and Josh Bates. All guys that are either 3 stars or 4 stars, depending on who you follow, all within the top 500 nationally, regardless of position. So real good group for Coach Bedenbaugh, and should have the opportunity to mold that group of young men into a future core of starters in the trenches for Oklahoma. And with that, we turn things over from one guest to another as we see Caden off. It's time to touch base with 4-star linebacker Sammy Omasigo, one of the 24 that put pen to paper for Oklahoma today. Crandall, Texas is the hometown for Sammy. Generally not a hotbed when it comes to elite Power 5 talent, but Sammy is one of the few that is the exception. And if you get the chance to watch him on a football field, you immediately see why. Big, fast, agile, versatile. He had Power 5 offers to play on the offensive side as a wide receiver, ends up accepting an offer to play linebacker under Brent Venables. And Sammy, I guess that is the natural place to start right there. You got a linebacker whisperer in Coach Venables, and not only that, but a very experienced linebackers coach in his own right in Ted Roof. How instrumental were those 2 guys in sealing the deal for you and convincing you that Oklahoma was the place for you?
Well, back when Coach Venables was at Clemson, I was really checking out his film, checking out his status, checking out his entire career basically, and all the linebackers he's produced, all the defensive studs he's produced. The people he's produced, it just speaks volume, it speaks numbers, and him to come to Oklahoma and take the head coach job is just like, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. So is there anybody you want to model your game after as far as, at the linebacker spot? And have they talked to you about playing possibly the Cheetah position as well?
Yeah, I'm starting out for the Cheetah position, and then after I get a little more size on me, they try to move me to inside linebacker.
I gotcha. And then I guess you were down to Oklahoma and Florida, obviously, and that was a big deal. You went and visited Florida shortly before you made a decision and then decided you were done when you got done with that visit. What was it that made you decide, okay, Oklahoma is the spot for me?
Well, Oklahoma, it just fit my family so well because it was a perfect spot in between me and my family. My family can visit me if time needed. They can get in the car, come pick me up, or vice versa. And also, the family environment in Oklahoma was just extraordinary. Like the way Coach Venables and the staff made me feel at home, made my family feel at home, made them feel at ease that this is a good spot to drop their child off.
Did the soul mission play a big part in it? Because I know you're very faith driven in everything that you do. So is I guess the fact that Coach Venables is faith driven. They base the program off their faith-driven ideologies and the soul mission, and obviously Coach Chavis being a former youth pastor, all of that. Did that all encompass make it easier for you to pick the Sooners in the end?
Very. That's just like a cherry on top because Oklahoma is a very successful program, and it's always going to be a successful program, going to be a very big brand. And then when you add that Coach Venables is a very faith-based man, a very faith-based program that he's trying to implement, it's just it's the perfect place for me.
Now, Sammy, you've taken a very active role in helping recruit your peers to Norman. Obviously, that's been successful in some cases, unsuccessful in others. I know you were instrumental in getting Colton Vosick pledged to OU initially before he flipped to Texas in early November. But you committed early in the process, relatively early, end of June. And so as you've had the chance to witness some of these other guys wind down to their final decisions and just generally taking the process from commitment to signing, in your case, serving as a peer recruiter, what's been the crux of your pitch to some of these other guys that you've tried to add to the class? What have you tried to emphasize to them about why Oklahoma is the place?
Well, Oklahoma is just to start off, like I said before, it's an amazing program because year in, year out, this is a program that everyone's talking about, that everyone's looking at, that everyone's either critiquing or just like praising. And it's just like, this is a place where you want to be. And then the staff it just embraces you, makes you feel at home, makes you feel loved. They don't cut corners. They make sure you do all the small things the right way. And they're really going to make you into a better player, make you into a better person, into a better man. And so I really tell them, I'll be like, I'm not trying to force you to make a decision. I want your heart to guide you and to go to the place that you want to be at that's best for you and your family. But just know that at Oklahoma, that we will make you better.
Have you, I guess, are you ready to deal with the, Schmitty and all that, the hard work? Has everybody talked to you about, what's to come for you here in January?
I'm not an early enrollee. Actually.
Okay, that's right. You aren't an early enrollee. I totally forgot about that. That's right. I forgot about that.
But
even in the summer, are you ready? Are you ready?
I don't know if I'm ready for that Smitty season.
Yeah.
I heard Smitty season is different. It's a different breed. I heard that man is crazy.
Yeah, I think. I remember talking to Sammy back in June. I made a trip down to Crandall to see him just a few weeks before he committed, I believe, and he already knew at that point he wasn't going to be an early enrollee, and I asked him why. I thought his answer was really cool, and I'll share it for the fans because he told me, look, I'm only going to do high school once, and so I might as well make the most of it, savor my time, and get the opportunity to have a senior prom, play out my senior year, hang out with my friends for one more semester before I go off to Norman. And so that's just a really cool perspective, and speaks to the maturity that so many have already mentioned in the YouTube chat and the super chat that they admire about Sammy. And man, I want to throw you an audience question right now. This comes from Mongo, who asks, what's something you want to improve about your game this off season? I guess we can limit that specifically to before you get to campus in June. When you show up to campus in June, what do you want to have improved upon?
Well, I'm going to improve in my IQ of the game. I'm going to watch a lot more film, watch a lot more football, and just to make sure that I have all the mental weapons that I need to be as successful as possible and to play as early as possible.
So for you, obviously, you talked about wanting to play early, and you're not going to be an early enrollee like you just said, and you want to experience the high school life at its fullest. But do you have like a plan in place to get yourself prepared for what's to come in June once you arrived in Norman?
Yes, I have one of my strength and conditioning coaches here in Crandall that is putting me on a strict regimen to make sure my body's checked, that I make sure I get my conditioning in, my weights in, have a meal plan, everything that all the nine yards that we have to get to simulate as close as Norman, but nowhere near, but as close as we can get to Norman, so I can be able to prepare to play as soon as I can.
Do you know who you want to room with, or who you're going to room with?
Not yet.
Gotcha.
He's got more time to figure that out than the guys that are showing up in January. That's true. Hey, you ought to hit Cade McIntyre up. We were just on with him earlier, and he mentioned that he was planning on rooming with Colton actually for a while there, and then obviously that fell through. But 13 showing up in January. The other 11 for now, potentially a couple other additions pending, are going to be showing up in June. Of course, Sammy is one of those. Man, I want to ask you about your career at Crandall and specifically the conference in which you play, because you've had the opportunity to go toe-to-toe on the same gridiron as plenty of other guys that Oklahoma is very actively recruiting. They've placed a priority on locking down that particular vicinity, that region on the northeast side of the DFW Metro. And I think of guys like Aaron Flowers at Forney, Nigel Smith at Melissa, Peyton Pierce at Lovejoy, guys like Parker Livingstone also at Lovejoy, Dalen McCutcheon. So as you've had the chance to go up against some of these elite athletes, this is another thing I don't know if people realize. Yeah, you're from a small town, but you're playing some pretty top flight competition week in and week out on Saturdays, or on Fridays, excuse me. So I know you have very close relationships with a lot of these guys. So what can you say about those relationships and the opportunity that you've had to face off with some of these guys on the gridiron on Friday nights?
Well, it's always an honor to play some good competition. You know, you don't want to play, some poor teams every week. You always love playing some good competition to see how good you really are, test up your strengths. And just playing against them just really proves that, like, it really shows me how, or I match up where I stand against other good opponents, and really, like, gets my mind ready for college, be like, this is what college is going to be every single play against every single team. So it's like, it's really fun to watch, really fun to see, really fun to play against.
Do you have a particular set of goals set for yourself that you want to achieve during your freshman year, on and off the field?
Off the field, I want to make sure that I have all A's, everything above 93 grade points. Wow. And then on the field, I'm trying to contribute to making our team as good as possible. So 10+ wins this season.
Oh, there you go. Double digits. Right back to double digits. That's the goal. Sammy, obviously, as you mentioned, you're a guy that's very academically minded as well. Have you thought about what you want to major in, what program of study you want to pursue at OU?
I'm doing business, majoring in business.
And we've had this conversation before, but just so everybody watching can get familiar with it, what's kind of your plan for life after football? What do you want to accomplish with your life once your football playing days are over with? I'm trying
to go into the real estate business. I feel real estate is really good. It really fits my set of traits, because you have to talk, you have to be able to use your words to get your business across. And I feel like I'll be able to really exploit in that field of business, field of work.
So you have you actually looked into that as far as real estate goes? Like, what type of real estate you want to be? Like, it's whether it's business real estate, commercial?
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. Being in the linebacker room, nobody really asks a lot about Coach Roof. I mean, because he's the quiet, unassuming guy. But how much of a role did he play in your recruiting process?
Well, bigger than anyone can expect, because Coach Roof, he might be the quiet guy, might be the guy to make some lame jokes, but, Coach Roof, he's a guy that you're going to know he's there for you. He's the guy that he's going to have your back. And when he was talking to my parents, he just reassured them that they're leaving their child to another great parent, another great teacher, a great father, So that really just, like, gave them some reassurance that this is the right spot for their child.
Mm-hmm. I gotcha. I guess lastly for me, going, up against a lot of those guys in 7-on-7. You played 7-on-7. What was your team, by the way? Sorry, I can't remember the squad you played for in 7-on-7.
Grand Elite.
Grand Elite. You went up against a lot of the top wide receivers in the DFW area and even in the country. What was the best player that you went up against, whether it was in 11-on-11 tackle during the season or 7-on-7?
The best player I went against would have to be Nigel from Melissa. Yeah, that dude's
he's a stud.
He's a big boy.
He's a stud. Well, Sammy, as we prepare to let you go here, is there anything in particular, any message that you want to communicate to Sooner Nation here on signing day as we watch you and 23 of your peers officially join the Oklahoma family?
Well, it's a really an honor and a blessing that I've been put in this position. And Sooner Nation, it may not be now, maybe a little bit later, but just know I'm coming.
There you go. Sammy Omasigo, 4-star linebacker out of Crandall, Texas. Man, always appreciate your time. Always great to catch up with you. We'll talk again soon, all right?
Yes, sir.
That is Sammy Omasigo, Crandall, Texas's finest, and one of the most highly ranked defensive prospects in the 24/7 Sports composite when you look at this Oklahoma signing class, a guy that was formerly just a 3-star for the longest time there, was just in the mid-range 3-star range. And then one of those guys that steadily moved up and up and up and further up the rankings to the point where, as we sit here today, he's a national top 100 prospect. But from one defensive signee to the next, it's Champ Sanders time. Ashton Sanders, 3-star defensive end out of Los Angeles, California, one of the later additions to Oklahoma's signing class, and he joins us now on the OU Insider Signing Day special presented by OEC Fiber. Ashton, if you could do me a favor, turn your screen sideways. If you can turn it into landscape mode, and that will give us a better perspective on you there.
There
Perfect.
it is.
Yep, there we go.
Appreciate
All
it.
right.
So I'll start out. You were just in Frisco, what, last week? Is that correct? Playing in the Army All-American game?
Yes, sir.
How did that go for
Yes,
you?
sir.
And how did that go for you?
It went very well. I played great against the competition. It was great competition. I loved competing every single play, whether it was in practice or in the game. The coaches were great. I learned a lot from them, and the scheme was very similar to Oklahoma's.
Man, it was Halloween that you first picked up your Oklahoma offer. So we're not much more than 8 weeks removed from that day that Oklahoma entered the picture in your recruitment. And less than, less than 3 weeks later, you were committed after taking that official visit on Bedlam weekend. So cover to cover throughout the process of Oklahoma pursuing you, even as late in the game as it was, what really stood out about Coach Bates, Coach Venables, the Oklahoma experience in general that led you to decide so expediently Oklahoma's the spot for me?
It was their history. The history with the players that they had at Clemson, especially with undersized D linemen. Coach Bates coaches that very well. Like I said, their scheme is very great. Is very tactical, in my opinion, I would say. And just the coaches itself being a part of that winning staff when Clemson was on their reign, it's a blessing to be coached by themselves.
You came in on your official visit. I think it was Bedlam week, correct? And
say it again.
Your official visit. You came in for Bedlam week, correct?
Correct.
Okay. But you were there with obviously DJ Hicks, and I believe who else was there that weekend? I can't remember who the other official was, but
Damian Sanford.
Yeah, Damian Sanford. But talk about your relationship. Have you built a relationship with David Hicks since that time, and have y'all continued to talk?
No, sir.
I got you. So I guess for you, Ted Roof talked about today, whenever we were talking about, we did the presser, the post-signing day presser, and he talked about your body transformation and everything that you did to focus between your junior and senior year and to really, get yourself to a position to where you are now. Can you talk about that and everything that you had to go through to get to this point right now, physically, mentally, just everything, and what all that means to you as far as confidence and getting to the next level?
Well, I would say 100% it has added a little bit more confidence to me. The journey wasn't easy at all. It wasn't fast. It was actually long. It took me all the summer, and I didn't go in a month into the season. All I did was delete sugar out of my diet. I always had candy every single day, and I was tired of trying all the diets. I tried a lot of them. I even tried to just eat fish at one point, but it never worked out for me. So I just decided to delete one thing out of my life that wasn't good health-wise, that I was putting inside my body more than other food items. So, and that was sugar. Say it again.
Oh, I said
Say it again.
I think he's delayed. I was agreeing with you. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So just deleting I would say the most hurting drug in America out of my life, which is sugar.
Yeah, man. Now you're very active on social media, and that's one of the reasons why I think so many fans have taken a liking to you. Even before you committed, there were a lot of Sooner fans that were very heavily interacting with your posts on social media, commenting on how you seemed like a natural fit for the culture that Coach Venables and his assistants were trying to build at Oklahoma. And I think the most memorable tweet you've ever sent out in the eyes of a lot of fans was one where you posted a picture of yourself and the line of scrimmage was about the 1 yard line. The opposing team was getting ready to power into the end zone. And it was a picture you standing there over the ball. The caption, something to the effect of, if this is where the ball's at, you're not getting past me. You're not getting into my end zone. And so how much, especially as a guy that at the interior defensive line position, most would regard as a little bit undersized, as somebody that plays that position, plays the zero tech, plays defensive tackle, and has to hold things down on the interior in the trenches, how much does your mentality come into play, and how resilient do you have to be in that aspect of the game to be able to play the position effectively?
You kind of broke out mid-question. Could you restate that, please?
Yeah, no worries. So I was talking about, obviously, the tweet where you're standing over the ball and saying, hey, you're not getting into my end zone. You're not going through me. How much does your mentality as a defensive tackle play into the way that you approach the position and your capacity to be effective?
I would say my mentality is my game. 100%. That picture, exactly. When it comes to the big time moments, I'm gonna be there. Whether it's big or small, I'm gonna still be there. And that mentality, I feel like, is along all 11 players on the football field, on the Oklahoma football team that's on the field at that time. And me being a part of that, I should also be a part of that mentality. I should also, I forgot the word. My bad. Yeah.
It's all good, man. We got an audience question from Mongo in the YouTube super chat. He wants to know, as a recruit that had to wait for some of the bigger offers, like we mentioned, OU didn't come around until late October to offer you. But as a recruit that had to wait for the bigger offers, what advice would you offer kids in the same situation?
To just stay patient. Don't jump to quick decisions. That's one thing I did. I would say it helped me in some sort of way. I would say for notoriety, but I would say it didn't help with connections, because I built a relationship with the school and I told them I was going there, and then I decommitted, and that's not something I would like to be labeled as, someone who commits to something and then doesn't fall through. So I would say just wait till you actually know the school you really want to go to. You always have a slight bit of doubt, but deep inside you always know where you want to go, and just be patient and allow God to do his work.
So you talk about that, and you obviously had, I guess you had a different path, and everybody has their own path on how they get to where they get come National Signing Day. But for you growing up, did you have a favorite school or a favorite college football program that you were following and dreamed of playing at? And what was your first reaction, obviously, when that Oklahoma offer came about? I know it came, like Parker asked, on October 31st on Halloween, but what was your instant reaction or just your instant reaction when Coach Bates first reached out to you?
Well, I always grew up as an Oregon fan. To answer your first question, I was watching Oregon during the Deanthony Thomas and Marcus Mariota era, and that's where it had a whole lot of hype around the program. So that was always my number one dream school. When Coach Bates texted me on Halloween, he said, "You're not trying to come play on the SEC level." And then I said, "I'll commit right now, Coach." And then we just started laughing after that. And and we talked. And then later that night, he offered me a scholarship, and then I kept my word. I committed.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What's Coach Bates like? Obviously, you haven't dealt with him personally as the coach part, but what was he like recruiting you?
He's one of a kind. I'll say that. He's nothing like the coaches I've been recruited by. Mom could either think he's very loved from my family. He's a disciple. Also, he's a great father to his children, great husband. And from what all the players say, his players say, from the defensive tackle room, that he's a great father figure too. And that was one thing that I really wanted as a positional coach, for me to commit to a school. I wanted a father figure coach, and he's one of those.
Now, how much did the environment at Oklahoma stand out to you when you got the opportunity to take that visit in November? Obviously, the Sooners prevailed that night, knocked off Oklahoma State 28-13 in that particular iteration of the Bedlam series. But to see that stadium packed out on a very cold night with 85,000 of the Sooner faithful, how much did that stand out and help solidify your belief that, yeah, Oklahoma's the right fit, this is home?
Yeah, 100% show that football team has support from not only the whole town but the whole state, and that's great in my opinion. I feel like as a player, that's what you want to be surrounded by, a town full of support, and I 100% think that's in Norman, Oklahoma.
So I guess do you have anybody you're excited to go up against in the class as far as, offensive linemen go?
You mean in practice or?
Yes, yeah, in practice.
Well, I'm not looking forward to going against anybody. I'm looking forward to go against whoever coach puts me in front of, and that's my job.
It's a good mentality to have. Not a bad approach at all. Ashton Sanders is our guest on the OU Insider Signing Day Special presented by OEC Fiber, 3-star defensive lineman out of Los Angeles, California. And, man, offhand, unless I'm mistaken, I don't think I am, I believe you're the only Cali representative in this class for Oklahoma. So is that something that plays into your OU pride a little bit more, taking the Cali swag to Norman?
Most definitely. California swag is kind of needed on the team. There's only a few of them. I'm glad to add another little bit of touch. But there's one thing. I'm from Pasadena, California, not Los Angeles.
Pasadena. Okay. Not Los Angeles. Noted.
Yes, sir.
So how many times have you been to the Rose Bowl to watch football games?
Twice.
Twice? What was the matchup when you went?
It was when UCLA was playing Utah.
Okay. What was the other one?
The other one was Stanford versus Iowa.
Ooh, I remember that one. That would have been the 2015 Rose Bowl. Yeah, that was.
Yes, sir.
That was a very memorable day for one Christian McCaffrey, who's made himself a nice little living in the NFL ever since. Ashton Sanders, 3-star defensive lineman out of Pasadena, California, joining us on the OU Insider Signing Day Special. Man, thank you so much for taking a few minutes of your time. It's very evident that you're in transit, so we appreciate you making the space to join and talk shop with us in front of the Sooner faithful, man.
Thank you for having me. Have a blessed one.
That is Ashton Sanders, one of the very late additions in this Oklahoma signing class. Didn't receive the offer until October, as we mentioned. Didn't commit until late November on the heels of an official visit. And now here in December, less than 8 weeks after he got the offer, he is a member of Oklahoma's class. All right, Jackson Arnold is on deck. We're going to touch base with him at the bottom of the hour. The OU Insider Signing Day Special is presented by OEC Fiber, serving 32,000 subscribers in central Oklahoma. The OEC Fiber app suite helps people manage their account, customize their Wi-Fi, and troubleshoot their connection, all in the palm of their hand. It was awarded Best Internet Service Provider by the Journal Record and Best Customer Service by the Norman Transcript. You can get started with OEC at oecfiber.com. And now we turn our attention to our next guest, a Sooner-born, Sooner-bred addition to this class by way of Snoqualmie, Washington, offensive lineman Heath Ozaida, who received his OU offer in late June, committed just 5 days thereafter. It was a very quick recruitment process as far as the Sooners were involved with Heath. And Heath, man, we've had the opportunity to speak quite a few times now. I think most fans have come to know you for breaking a chair on the set of our pregame radio show before the OU Kent State game. But man, that just testifies to the caliber of bodies, the caliber of behemoths that Bill Bedenbaugh's bringing in this 2023 recruiting class with you, Caden Green, Josh Bates, and Logan Howland. We got the chance to talk with Caden earlier and very excited to get the chance to talk with you as well. Now, take us back to the recruitment process. I know you've talked about it before on the radio. There are certainly people watching this stream who didn't get the chance to hear your story, at least out of your mouth, the first time around. So again, it was a very quick process, very open and shut as far as OU was concerned. But tell the folks a little bit about why it was so quick, your background with the University of Oklahoma, the state of Oklahoma, and how it all went down with Coach Bedenbaugh.
Yeah, so I mean, at that time in my recruitment, it was kind of a weird time. We were I just took a few officials before that, and I actually tried committing to a school, but they were very weird about my offer and just kind of it was a whole thing. But then we went down and visited OU. We were super uncertain of where I was going to go and what I wanted to do. We went down, visited. Coach Bedenbaugh took me around, me and my family around. I mean, I just fell in love. So I was didn't want to waste any more time. At that point, I was I'm ready. I just knew I wanted to be here, so I just pulled the trigger.
What's your cat's name? I guess we all have to ask that question now. So
I got two, Sammy, and I got Nanus. He just, I don't know, he's so needy right now.
So you're from Oklahoma originally?
Yeah, I was born there.
Where were you born?
I was born in Edmond.
Okay. Were you born at I think it was probably the Baptist Hospital whenever you were born, I'm assuming. So
to be honest, could not tell you. But
you couldn't tell? I gotcha. So you grew up in an Oklahoma family, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
When did y'all move up to the Northwest?
So we actually moved to California first. I moved to the Bay Area for about that's where I grew up mostly, was in the Bay. And then right before high school started, I moved up here to Washington.
I guess the other question is, since we are on a YouTube Live, we have to ask, how did the YouTube channel that you created and all this stuff that you used to do, how did that all come about?
I don't think I'm ever going to live that down. But it was I was in 5th grade, and I mean, I always watched YouTubers. I thought I could be a skater at the time. I know I'm a little too big to be doing that, but I kind of just was trying to copy what my favorite YouTubers were doing, trying to I don't know, get famous or something. But obviously, I don't think I had the quality to get there. But I thought it was just fun for me to do.
Man, you have a very, well, not obscure, but very unique claim to fame, because I just did some extensive research while you were answering that last question from Brandon and concluded that come next season, you will be the only scholarship ginger at the University of Oklahoma within the football program.
Mm-hmm. I saw that the other guy's leaving, so it's.
Is there another guy?
Only he'll be
right now.
Out there.
Who's leaving?
We're not leaving, but yeah, I know. Yeah, the only scholarship guy.
Yeah,
I know there's a walk on as a senior, but
there you go. Yep.
Yeah,
that tracks.
That's what. No.
So I guess you got the offer from Oklahoma. Was he delayed? You got the offer from Oklahoma, and you came down. You were on a unofficial visit when that took place, correct?
Yeah.
What was that like? I guess what was your instant reaction? What was your family's reaction? And I don't think did you commit right on the spot quietly, or was it more of a went back home, processed things, and then decided to commit shortly after that? How did all that go?
It was actually on the spot. I mean, we were Coach Beambo told me during the day, like when we were at his office, like he needs to check with Coach Venables about offering me, but like he says, I mean, I'll get it. He's never really said no to him about a kid. So then that night he called me, offered me, and I was like, Coach, I want to be a Sooner. He told me to sleep on my decision, which I understand why he said that, but then obviously I stuck with it. So it was on the spot a little secretly.
Man, it's been a long time since the Sooners landed a kid from the state of Washington. And now here in this cycle, they have not one, but two in you and Josiah Wagner, a guy that you got the opportunity to share the field with this past year when your high school went up against his. So, man, how cool is that to have two Evergreen State natives repping in the same recruiting class for OU? And what's the nature of your relationship with Josiah?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how that turned out, and especially since then being on my schedule, it was crazy. But yeah, I mean, definitely our relationship has grown a lot recently. He was on the official with me. I mean, we were really cool. Well, I met him at my game after. We talked for a little bit. He's a really nice guy. But then we really started talking more on our official, I guess. He was down there too. I mean, we just definitely grew a lot closer over that weekend.
So Coach Beatonbow, what's he like as a recruiter? What's he like as a person whenever you're dealing with him? And I know you grew up being an Oklahoma fan. You've seen the legacy that is Oklahoma offensive lineman. What's it like for you to now have a chance to join that fraternity and be a part of, a position that if you go to Oklahoma, there's a decent chance you end up in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, him as a recruiter is something I really appreciate, and a big reason why I really like Coach Beatonbow is because he always tells you like everything straight up. He's never beating around the bush or telling you what you want to hear. I mean, he just is like, I mean, look out. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to coach you hard. But like I've sent countless guys to the league. Like he is the best coach in the country. But yeah, it's definitely super. I mean, him believing in me and wanting me part of his group is super. I'm super grateful for that, and yeah, no, it's great. I'm excited to be a part of it.
Now, we got the chance to talk with Caden earlier, as I mentioned, and he talked about the bond that you guys have built as a group among the class of offensive line commits, you, Logan Howland, Josh Bates, Caden Green. How excited are you guys not only to have the opportunity to work alongside one another and be in the trenches alongside one another for years to come, but to protect a guy in Jackson Arnold that has certainly made his case this fall as the best high school quarterback in the country?
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited to work with those boys. I met all of them in person at visits. Me and Josh are the same official, so we were hanging out for a lot of that, and it was really nice to get close with him. But I mean, yeah, blocking for Jackson's gonna be a lot of fun. I mean, he's a special kid for sure. I mean, yeah, see that through his tape and his accolades and everything.
Have you guys created a friendship throughout this process and been able to learn and talk and I guess get to know each other a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, we all talk on social media a good amount. I mean, I guess you say Snapchat is probably our main form of communication. That we got a little text with Coach Beatonbow, just talking about what's happening, how we're doing. So we've definitely created a good relationship with each other.
Has Coach Beatonbow given you any indication of where he's going to start you out positionally? Because we know he recruits a lot of guys. And I think Josh Bates is going to kind of be the exception because a lot of folks see him as a natural center, and that's in all likelihood what he's going to be at Oklahoma. But outside of a guy like Josh, Beatonbow generally recruits his players for their versatility. That's a trait he looks for, guys that are going to have the ability to play pretty much anywhere he sticks them along the offensive line. But much as I mentioned to Caden, right, everybody's got to start somewhere. So do you have any indication from Coach Beatonbow as to where he's going to start you out initially on the offensive line?
I mean, not entirely right now. With me, it's kind of more wait to see me in person, work out with me and everything and see. But I think right now it's definitely more of I'm a tackle player. I'm a quick guy. I'm agile. I'm athletic. So I think that's kind of where my skill sets put me. And I know, Josh Center, Caden's a guy who can play both. And I'm pretty sure I was talking with Logan. He said that Coach Lou sees him only as a tackle mostly, just because of his transition from tight end to tackle. Super athletic guy. I think that's where he fits in. But I mean,
he's also very tall.
Yeah, he's
very
also
tall.
Which I didn't really realize until I met him in person how tall he actually is. But I mean, for me, I'll play anywhere really. I want to be on the field.
I guess for you, do you have an expectation? I guess some goals that you want to achieve as a freshman during your first year at Oklahoma?
Yeah, I mean, ideally I go on the field, get some playing time, just work up in the depth chart. I won't be at the bottom. I mean, just get as high up in the depth chart as I can, hit the field, just play, really. That's kind of my main goal is just to play.
I know you live up in, the Seattle area. Are you an NBA guy?
Kind of. To be honest, I kind of I dislike the NBA. I think it's just.
Come on. Preach the gospel.
I was going to ask because you're in Sonic territory. So, and obviously the Thunder, Supersonics. Do you ever catch yourself cheering for, even though you're not a fan of it, cheering for, the back home NBA squad? And you have any gear that you wear around or that you're, I guess, bold enough to wear around Seattle? Any Thunder gear?
I don't have any Thunder gear, but they are definitely my second team, I'd say. Since I grew up in the Bay Area, I grew up
Warriors.
Yeah. Because we'd go to those games. I didn't say I was a Warriors fan, but OKC is always my team. But I do catch heat for it, actually, a good amount if I ever mention it. Like my girlfriend's dad specifically will always give me a little hard time for it because he's a big Seattle guy.
Now, the running joke is that every football player thinks they can hoop as well. Yeah, you ever been a hooper at any point in your life?
I just got back from practice.
Really? Okay.
I'm working on it. I'm not the best right now. I wish I played all 4 years. I think I'd be a lot better, but I kind of just did to stay in shape and stay active.
So you dislike the NBA, but you don't dislike basketball.
Oh, I love basketball. I like college. College is fun to watch because I feel like kids in college try. I feel like NBA players just.
Amen, man. This dude's speaking my language, Brandon. Come on.
I'm sorry. What? No, for real. So, can you dunk?
Oh, I'm dunking. I actually I've been able to dunk for a good amount of time now, but I've never been able to get it consistently. And then yesterday, we had a water break, and I was just trying. I kept getting it over and over again. So I'm pretty solid on my dunking now.
You gonna drop step dunk on somebody in a game? I'm
trying. We have this one play where I get a lob and dunk it. I just need to connect, and I hope I can get it in game because that would be pretty cool to tweet out.
We got a question from the audience for you, Heath. Mongo wants to know, Heath, something that stands out with you is your accomplishments in the classroom as well as on the field. How does that translate into your game?
Oh, I think for offensive line, offensive line and quarterback are the two positions where you can't be dumb. You have to be smart. I feel like knowing the game is half of it. If you know what you're doing, you can't think about your assignment. You're just there's no point in playing you. I think it's just recognizing blitzes, everything. Formations is super important for offensive line. I don't think you can be successful if you're not smart. Yeah. So I think it's definitely something that's helped me. It's always helped me a lot on the field.
Heath Ozaida, all 6'6", 300 pounds of him, one of 24 signees this morning for Oklahoma as they welcome their 2023 signing class to the fold. Heath, man, always good to catch up with you. Appreciate your time. Safe travels down to Norman when the time comes for you to move in, and we'll look forward to seeing you in that Crimson and Cream next spring.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it, man.
That is Heath Ozaida, Snoqualmie, Washington, one of two Evergreen State Sooners in this class for Oklahoma. And, well, Brandon, that's I guess that brings us to the final member of our fabled guest list, and that would be five-star quarterback Jackson Arnold, the highest ranked of the Sooners commits in this class. None of the other 23, though they all are highly regarded in their own right, none of them fall as highly on the 24/7 Sports composite as Jackson Arnold, who has certainly made his case this fall as the top high school quarterback in the country. Jackson, man, I imagine it's been quite a day for you. It certainly has been for us. Definitely excited to wind down here with you. How's everything going?
It's been a great day for me. It's been a little overwhelming, but I'm hanging in there. So
You're over recruiting, and I have he is definitely over the recruiting. We were talking earlier today, and I get a text message, bro, I am over this recruiting crap. So Uncle Rico, man, are you going to miss those chants, or do you think that's going to catch on? And are you going to keep the stash and try to see if that catches on with the student section in Norman?
Yeah, I'll keep the facial hair going a little bit.
All right. I guess for you, you've signed. You're done with it. You're now an Oklahoma Sooner. It's a bittersweet deal for you because you do love Denton Guyer very much in high school and everything you guys have been through. But going through everything that you went through as a freshman in high school, as a sophomore, junior, and now a senior, how much does that prepare you now for what you're going to go through come January 14th when you arrive in Norman for your first workout with Schmitty and all that type of stuff? I mean, is there anything that you think you can take from everything you've been through and roll it over into your college career?
Yeah, it's funny you say that or you bring that up because 3 years ago on this day was that freshman state championship game. So just, I guess, being thrown into the fire that early on, I don't know. I just gave me kind of a sense of what the game speed's going to look like at a higher level of football. Obviously, that's still high school football, but that was a really good Westlake team. The game of speed is going to be somewhat similar to that in college, so got to give kudos to the Westlake team for kind of giving me that experience early on that'll only help me further in my playing career. And I think for all the workouts and stuff, I think our strength and conditioning coach, Coach Keast, does a fantastic job of getting us ready. Some of the lifts that we do, some of the the individual lifts that we do are some things I'll see in college, whether that's isometrics, just certain plyometrics, isometrics, whatever it is. I've probably done it already, and I'm super grateful for having a coach like that just to kind of ease me into the college process.
Parker, I got to follow up to that.
Go right ahead.
So your dad and I were talking one day, and he said, whenever that day that happened today, 3 years ago, the fateful Westlake game that you went through where you just thrown in there, he said you and him were, talking after the game. I don't know whether it was at home, maybe a drive back from the game or whatever. And he turned to you and he said, this isn't going to define you as a person, as a player, or anything like that. Is that something you took that experience and it's allowed you to deal now better through the peaks and valleys of being a player, specifically the quarterback position, and how hard that is sometimes with just everything being so put under a microscope with you guys because everything you do is magnified.
Yeah. When my dad said that to me, this game's not going to define you. I think that's kind of when something in my head clicked. I can either let this game tear me down as a football player and as a person, or I can use it to kind of build my base off of and become an outstanding player. And I use that game as motivation, definitely as fuel, just to get better. I think after that state game, I want to say I weighed around 165, 170, maybe not even that. Within the next 2 months, I put on like 15 pounds of muscle, of mass. So that game I kind of use that game as motivation for my future success. I look back at it now and I'm almost grateful that something like that happened to me. Whether Eli Stowers was still in and we won the game and got a state championship ring, I think I wouldn't be the same person I was today. Just because that experience just kind of taught me so much about myself and kind of, I don't know, showed me what my true character was.
Now, man, I think one of the things that stands out about you, not just to me, but to most everybody that's gotten the chance to watch you, either on TV or in person this year, is especially now that you're a senior, man, it just seems like you're the most confident player on the field at all times. And what a far cry it is from that young freshman who was thrust into that situation against Austin Westlake in relief of Eli Stowers. And so as you've had the opportunity to grow and mature and gain experience working in this offensive system throughout the course of your high school career, how have you felt your confidence on the field grow?
Confidence has obviously grown a lot from that freshman year. I think I can attribute most of that to, I guess, my experience of playing in a state championship game like that with very little preparation as a freshman. Kind of makes everything else makes me not as nervous for most other games, just because I've been in a situation like that before. That's in high school, that's the top of the top. I mean, it's your state championship game. So most of the other games, I wasn't as nervous, a lot more confident in my game and how I play. And I think just maturing and getting older just kind of helped me realize that, I'm going to be the one to take over this game. I'm the one that, needs to step up and lead our team to go win this game. I think my confidence stems from me just kind of realizing that, I'm the guy this year. I've got to step up and be that guy for my team.
You did. You took over a lot of games. You made sure that even when you guys were struggling offensively, there were times that you would just take the ball and start running with it just to get a spark going. And you told me one time, you're like, man, half the time I ran the ball, that wasn't even the call. I just ran it. And so where did you said that confidence came from, everything that you went through and all that type of stuff, but knowing the offense and understanding what you're trying to do systematically and scheme-wise, you guys run a very similar offense to what Coach Levy does. Now, the verbiage is different, obviously, but does that give you a little bit of a head start moving in, come this winter, to already understand some things that are going to go on? And now you just got to learn the verbiage instead of just showing up and going, okay, I don't understand why you ran this, route scheme over here and this route scheme over there. You're going to know it already and the reasons why they're doing that.
Yeah, I think it's a huge advantage, purely because I've kind of, got the timing down, I'd say, of the offensive system. Whether it's a choice route in the outside, I know most of the time when players, and obviously the speed of college is going to be different, the receiver is going to be faster, all of that. But I kind of understand the timing of the routes and how they work within the system. And I kind of know, I don't know how to put this. I just understand how things are in the system. Whether we're running a certain play, and I ran this play in high school, I'm looking at the safeties, trying to ID a coverage and knowing what I can and can't throw. Stuff like that is going to help me transition so much easier in college.
Jackson Arnold is our guest on the OU Insider Signing Day special presented by OEC Fiber, 32,000 subscribers strong in Central Oklahoma. Get started at oecfiber.com. The final guest of the evening for us is the Sooners 5-star quarterback. And Jackson, I first and foremost, before I get to my actual question, I want to ask you, how excited are you not to have to answer the question, are you still locked in with Oklahoma again?
That's a big relief.
Yeah, so you committed back in January, obviously. Schools didn't stop pursuing you, man. Mm-hmm. And that's the nature of the beast for any highly regarded quarterback. It's the most important position on the field, as the old adage goes. And so there were always going to be programs that continued to try to work the angles with you, even while you were committed to Oklahoma, just to see if maybe they could get a foot in the door. So what was it like just managing that whole process, being committed to Oklahoma, being solidly committed at that, but continually having to reiterate to folks to varying degrees, hey, look, this isn't a possibility. I'm a Sooner.
Yeah. Shoot. Well, I say first and foremost, I think the relationship I have with the coaches was a big factor in me staying. Not saying that I was planning on leaving by any means, but just being so close to the coaching staff and feeling so comfortable around them, just, it kind of made me feel like, like I'm never going to find this at another place. And maybe I would or wouldn't, only God knows, but I felt so comfortable with the staff, and I felt that, there's honestly no place I'd rather be. Because, whether it's the staff, the culture, the campus at OU, everything just felt right to me. And everything, I always stem back to my original decision, like what made me go to OU. And I just, whenever coaches would hit me up, I'd always think back to my why, like why did you commit to Oklahoma the first time? And why would you stay true to that word? And to me, I think most importantly, it was the relationship I had with the coaches. Just super close with them. They always made me feel welcome, made my family feel welcomed, and they always treated us right. Whenever we were visiting, whether it was visits, on phone calls, anything.
So I guess since it's over with, what was the one school that was like the most aggressive towards you as far as wanting to get you out for a visit or wanting to get you on the phone or blah, 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 blah during all that stuff?
Once I first committed, some schools kind of stopped talking to me. Like Notre Dame just stopped talking to me right after I committed. Most schools didn't talk to me. And then I think a few months go by, Ohio State starts hitting me up, starts talking to me, trying to get me to visit. I didn't really want to visit. Or not that I didn't want to visit. I knew I wasn't going to visit. And midsummer was when Georgia started hitting me up. Obviously, being from Georgia, being a fan of the Bulldogs growing up, obviously was a big appeal to me. But then, I thought back to my why I first chose Oklahoma and with the relationships and stuff. And then after Georgia, that was pretty much it, honestly.
LSU was one too, correct? Like yes.
LSU, actually, that was after I committed because the coach at LSU, coaching change happened. Coach, I'm not gonna name drop, but LSU coaches, LSU coaches started hitting me up a bunch too, and there's not much to say. I was comfortable where I was at, and I really didn't want to go anywhere else.
And you never tweeted out your Georgia offer either, which I thought was just kind of
well, first of all, there's no point in starting drama like that.
Yeah. And
I wouldn't have put that offer out unless I was seriously considering visiting. So I just thought, if I'm not going to visit, then why people need to know if I have a Georgia offer,
Right. No, I mean, I wanted you to say that because you and I had that conversation before. Yeah. And I think Oklahoma fans are going to like that answer, actually, because that shows you how committed you were during this whole process to the University of Oklahoma.
Now, let's hit some listener questions here, Jackson. Shane asks, what QBs do or did you look up to, and have you invested in mustache oils yet?
When I was little, I always loved the Georgia quarterbacks. So I was a big fan of Matthew Stafford when I was young, Aaron Murray, all those when I was really young. Jake Fromm at Georgia, and I think pro level, the quarterback I love watching the most is Aaron Rodgers. Just love the way he throws the ball. I don't necessarily like throw like him or anything or play like him whatsoever, but I love watching him play. Maybe not this year, but I love watching him play. And no, I have not invested in mustache oils yet.
All right, let's hit the next one. This comes from Mongo as well, who's been a regular in the Super Chat with these questions tonight. Mongo wants to know, Jackson, what are your expectations for Oklahoma from the staff, your teammates, the fans?
It's a good question. I mean, obviously, for the upcoming season, I'm expecting a bunch of wins, hopefully. And, I think we're going to have a great team next year and expecting only like a couple losses, if that. And also just expecting these coaches to pour out into me as I'm going to pour out into them.
There you go. I guess so. People are just blowing us up, man. Like, they're like, dude, ask him about Peyton Bowen. Ask him about Peyton Bowen. Man, look, let's get one thing. There's nothing much you can say about it, correct?
Yeah. I mean, I'll go ahead and answer a Peyton question. I didn't know where he was going. I never knew where he was going. Peyton made the decision to where he thought was what was best for him, and I'll support him 100% for that. So there's that.
But he hasn't signed anywhere yet, so we're all still up in the air. And go ahead and say you still don't know where he's going, correct?
Do not.
There you go. There's your answers, folks. So for you, learning under Dylan Gabriel, or competing with the returning starter, like, you're good with either way, right? Like, you want to come in and compete and see if you can't be the starter at the University of Oklahoma. That's why you chose OU. But talk about your friendship with Dylan Gabriel and how that's progressed since you guys committed, because a lot of people don't understand how close you guys have actually become.
Yeah, no, I think it all started, like us being somewhat close, started in my official visit June 3rd for the Champion Barbecue. Dylan was actually my host the entire weekend. Hit it off, had a great time together. And ever since then, he FaceTimed me during school one time. Like, I'm sitting in class and he's trying to FaceTime, like, Dylan, I got school. Like, I can't answer, but he's been really great to me, and not only to me, but my family. It's super nice to both my parents, Sky, whoever. He's been extremely nice. And I think for this year, honestly think it's great with him coming, or if he does come back, just being somebody there to mentor me and teach me the game as a veteran, just teaching me certain things, certain cues that I could pick up on, or just certain things that'll help me be successful in my future.
Couple receivers in this class, as five-star quarterback Jackson Arnold joins us here on the OU Insider Signing Day Special. Jaquaze Pettaway out of Houston and Keon Brown out of Tallahassee, Florida, the two wide receiver signees in this cycle for Oklahoma. Jackson, what do you like about those two, and what gets you excited about throwing the ball to them?
So I'll start with Jaquaze first. Playmaker, seriously, really fast kid, which is perfect for Levy's offense. Has great hands and just goes out and gets the ball. Seriously, I could probably throw it out as far as I can. He'll go run under it. And what I'm most excited for Keon is honestly his size. He's a big receiver, and from what I've heard, whether he was at camp at OU camping with them, I know Brandon told me this, that he went and saw Keon, and Keon was miles ahead of everybody else at the camp. Like, he was tearing stuff up at that OU camp. And watching his game film this year, I mean, he's catching screens and taking them 70 yards for touchdowns. Like, I mean, it's just impressive. So that's stuff you can't teach. I mean, that's a gift from God that he has, and just super excited to play with those guys.
Another audience question for you, Jackson, tongue-in-cheek. One listener would like to know which frat you're going to rush at Oklahoma.
None.
He's the fraternity of football. There's your answer.
Yeah. OU football.
Yeah. Jackson, as you think about getting to campus in January and just getting started, what are your expectations? What are your goals for your very first spring? Because obviously, as you mentioned, it's going to be a lot of new, obviously a heightened level of competition. You're coming in presumably to learn and develop underneath Dylan Gabriel, assuming he is back in an Oklahoma uniform for the 2023 season, which looks like a likelihood at this point. So what are you trying to accomplish? What are you trying to get out of your first spring practice sessions at Oklahoma?
The number one thing has to be getting the playbook down. I mean, that's going to be the baseline for success. If you don't run the playbook, how are you going to run the plays? So, I mean, just getting that playbook down as soon as I get there. And whether that's, I think I'll be able to get the playbook actually, I guess tomorrow, now that I'm signed. So just starting going over that now and, learning all those plays and getting everything jammed into my brain before that spring game is going to be crucial. And then secondly, I want to do good in the spring game. That's my second goal. The first one's to learn everything. Second goal is just to ball out in the spring game.
The fans want to know, Brahms or Whataburger?
Whataburger.
Ooh, bad answer. Wrong
no, I
answer.
think that's a good answer. I'm with you on that one.
I was at Whataburger last night, actually.
Have you eaten Brahms?
It's been a while. It's honestly it's been more than a while. It's been probably like 8 years back when I had it in Georgia.
Oh man, the OU fans are scorning you right now because
back when I had it in Georgia too, it was more of like an ice cream place. So they didn't have like the burgers and stuff that they do now. So it was just I used to go for just ice cream. So
it is the burgers are fantastic. The burgers because they don't let you travel very far away from their farm area. So it's kind of like In-N-Out where you have to be a certain distance from their processing plant. So anyways, for you said you're excited about the spring game.
Mm-hmm.
So, and obviously last year you got to see 75,000 people show up for that spring game. And that was a big deal. That really showed how big Oklahoma football is. Just the fact that you get to compete and do that in front of so many people, in the spring, whereas in high school where there's just like, I remember going to y'all's spring game last year, it was like 10 plays, I think, or 15 plays. It felt like you guys were done. What excites you the most about the spring game outside of just playing in it and I guess getting to showcase your talents?
What excites me the most is that it's going to be my first taste of real action before the season actually starts. Mm-hmm. In practice, I'll get the sense of game speed, but I really won't understand truly what college football is like until I take my first snap in the spring game. And I think that's what I'm looking forward to the most because that's only going to help me as a player as I develop.
Since the process is effectively over, and I say effectively because obviously there is an asterisk here, but since the recruiting process is effectively over for Oklahoma's 2023 class as things sit right now, as you reflect on all that this cycle brought, especially the additional challenges of being the quarterback, kind of being the leader of the class to a certain extent, take us inside a day in the life of Jackson Arnold, the recruiter, because in addition to game planning, in addition to practice, in addition to all these football responsibilities throughout the fall, as well as your class slate at school, you're also regularly touching base with a lot of these commits, a lot of these key targets for Oklahoma down the stretch, and you were taking a very active role in all that. So what did that look like for you on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah. If I'm going to be honest, it really wasn't too overwhelming. I know Brandon said earlier that I texted him that I'm over recruiting, and that's just because some of the losses we took and just it can get frustrating at times. But I think in total, recruiting really wasn't that hard necessarily, or it took too much time out of my day. What's helped, especially in the fall, is most of our recruiting was done before the football season. I think we had Anthony Evans and Jacoby commit the first week of games for the first week of our first game. and most of the recruiting was done before that, which is really, really good for us because, you know, in the summer I'd hit people up every single day, whether it was new people we were trying to get, commits that were wavering. I really did I'd either text people or call them almost daily. But, you know, at the same time, it's not like I'm sitting on the phone talking to them for hours on end. You know, it could just be like a quick conversation on text, a quick conversation on the phone. But yeah, I really would keep in touch with those people that we were trying to recruit, people that we already had committed, like every day.
You spent, you know, a lot of your time obviously recruiting your teammates at the time. Like obviously Ryan Yates was the other guy that you guys went after, but you're headed to go play in the Under Armour game here pretty soon. You're going to be a captain actually, and you'll be down there early. Are you going to show up early enough to get to go to the Cheetah Bowl, or are you guys, or are you going to be there afterwards?
I will be that day of the Cheetah Bowl is the 28th, right?
Yeah, 29th.
29th.
I'll have to see. We have some mandatory dinners and meetings and stuff. I was planning on going. We actually got tickets to it, but I'll have to see. I'll have to ask the coaches there if I can get permission. But I really want to. I just don't know if I'll be able to.
Are you one of the ones that they asked if you wanted to dress out, but you would have to skip the Under Armour game?
Yeah. Well, I think it was more of not skipping the Under Armour game, but leaving December 24th with my last Christmas with my parents for a while. So I thought it was best for me if I stayed with my family one last Christmas before I head off to college and just treasure that time that I have with them before I head off.
So I guess you are going to be headed up there January 14th. Do you know what you want to major in?
Yeah, I'm majoring in finance.
Okay. Do you know who your roommate's going to be?
I do not.
That's been a very popular question.
Because everybody knows who your roommate was going to be.
Yeah, I'm roommateless right now, so
we'll see.
We'll see. Yeah, and honestly, if I'm gonna be honest, it really doesn't matter who I room with. I'm close with almost everyone there, and whether it's Josh or Caden or Derek or Eric, like all those guys that I'll room with, like I don't have a problem rooming with any of them. So
yeah. Now I want to ask you about the other side of the ball and the class that Oklahoma has put together on defense, because 7 of the top 10 commits in this class for OU are defensive players, and even beyond those guys, you got lower ranked players, the likes of Eric McCarty, whom you mentioned, and Taylor Wine, that are criminally underrated as mid 3-star players. And so as you start to think about where things are trending for Oklahoma on the defensive side of the ball, not just in terms of coaching, not just in terms of having Brent Venables at the helm and assistants such as Todd Bates and Brandon Hall that are very well respected nationally. But the recruiting class that you guys brought in, headlined obviously by the first 5-star defensive commit for Oklahoma in 7 years in PJ Adebawore. How refreshing is it to know that whenever you step on the field as the starting quarterback at Oklahoma, more than likely you're going to have a beefed up defense on the other side?
It's very refreshing. And I can speak that from experience from playing at Guyer this year. The first, maybe not so much in playoffs, but during the district year, we were holding kids to 7. We were holding teams to 7 points a game. We were out there scoring 50-something and holding people to 0 to 7. So it's extremely helpful having a defense like that, not only for like keeping you, or let me phrase this, not only for, I don't know, but what I'm trying to say is they create a lot of momentum for offense, 1. 2, they get some turnovers, 2, or at least really good defenses get turnovers. So you win that turnover margin, and that just helps you be successful as an offense overall.
Brandon, you want to take a shot at the last question for Oklahoma 5-star quarterback commit Jackson Arnold?
Yeah, I guess, what are your goals for your freshman year. Everybody has goals, obviously yours, and everybody's already told us theirs. I mean, everybody, I want to start. I want to, I want to be, a freshman all conference or freshman of the year or, all that type of stuff. What is Jackson Arnold's goals year one, University of Oklahoma, personally, team, all the above?
Team goals is at least winning a Big 12 championship. I think that'd be huge. Even getting to the CFP or the national championship would be big. I don't know if that's a big step or not for us just going 6-6, but I think that'd be huge. And I think personally, I mean, if Dylan does come back, like Dylan's going to start. I think everyone knows Dylan's going to start. I think a goal for me to be learning as much as I can and, being there if he ever does go down. Maybe I guess my goal would just to be the backup this year, I guess, so to say. And if my time comes, I'm out there, I'm prepared, I'm ready to shine. So
Jackson Arnold, 5-star quarterback commit and the highest rated pledge in Oklahoma's number 8 class in the 24/7 Sports composite recruiting rankings for the 2023 cycle. Excuse me. Jackson, man, we always love talking to you. Very much appreciate your time late on this Wednesday night. Welcome to the Oklahoma family, and we'll look forward to watching you put on that crimson and cream in January.
Sure, thank you for having me.
Well, that is a wrap for the OU Insider Signing Day special presented by OEC Fiber, serving 32,000 subscribers strong throughout central Oklahoma. Get started at oecfiber.com. Wow, Brandon. We just rolled through interviews with 8 Oklahoma commits over the span of 3 hours. The one guy that we couldn't get on was Jacoby Johnson.
He was not happy either. He was like, dang it, dude. Like everybody else it worked and it didn't work for me. He goes, one dude's in his car. So, I mean, like, it's a shame. But Jacoby would have been a good one because he's very, very – when you get him in front of a mic, the personality comes out. So he would have been a good one to have. It's unfortunate. But,
before we sign off and before Brandon tells you about everything that's popping off at ouinsider.com, I will remind you, subscribe to this YouTube channel if you have not already. Hit the subscribe button. 70% of those of you that watch this video, watch this live stream on a week-to-week basis, are not subscribed. So just do us a favor, click subscribe. It doesn't cost you a dime. It helps us out, helps you out. You won't miss a thing from us. We got lots more coming over the next few weeks as we continue to put a bow on this 2023 recruiting class. Hopefully we'll be able to sleep tonight. That is the goal. Hopefully we have a resolution.
Well, I'm not sleeping.
Yeah, well, hopefully we have a resolution to this whole Peyton Bowen fiasco, and it is a fiasco. It is a fiasco for the ages at this point, but we will await a resolution to that recruitment finally. But yes, subscribe to the OU Insider YouTube channel if you have not already.
Yeah, definitely need to do that. Also, 50% off right now, ouinsider.com, 24/7 Sports. You get everything right now, $23, which will get you all the way through next year's signing day, which means you'll get the whole season. You'll get spring. You'll get all the transfer portal stuff. You'll get all the champion barbecue. You'll get the off-season notes, all the team notes that we're going to put up between now and March, and then March through August. You're going to get the Party in the Palace. You're going to get all of our camps that we go to, the Under Armour camps, the Elite 11. I mean, we're going to be going around seeing lots and lots and lots of OU targets throughout the whole country, building up our communication and relationships with them, just like we're supposed to do each and every year, so that we can provide the best information for you guys each and every day on OU Insider VIP. Right now, $53 will get you OU Insider, will get you all 250 24/7 Sports VIP sites, and it gets you a little extra. If you go to the website right now, not a little extra, it gets you an amazing perk that we can't really say much about, but it's a perk that will get you a bunch of shows and a bunch of movies and a bunch of new shows that maybe are being recorded here in Oklahoma. maybe some Yellowstone stuff. I mean, it's worth it. It's a 2-for-1 deal. It's like $250 worth of value for $53, and that would be a perfect Christmas gift for the loved one that is a big Oklahoma Sooner fan and loves to be in the know about recruiting, about basketball, about football, about everything. We have it for you guys right there on OU Insider, and we've been the #1 fastest growing 24/7 site for 2 straight years. And that's all thanks to you guys. You Oklahoma Sooners fans are the best. You guys have made that happen. We're blessed to be able to do that, and we say that every time, and we sincerely mean it. And we like being the most open of. We feel like everybody. Like if you want to come talk to us, if you want to DM us, you want to PM us, Parker and I are going to be there, and we're going to answer your stuff because we want you guys to feel like you're welcome and appreciated and all the above, man. So we hope to see you guys there on OU Insider VIP. Lots of news coming. Obviously, we're going to be covering Peyton Bowen situation, the DJ Hicks situation that still isn't resolved. Still think he's going to A&M, but it's not resolved, and that's the weird part about the whole ordeal. And Oklahoma seems to be trying to make a move there. Obviously, OU's trying to make a late move again with Peyton Bowen. We're going to have that covered. And there should be some news on the transfer portal front here over the next 48 hours or so, maybe sooner. We'll see if that comes to fruition as well. But we'll have all that for you guys on OU Insider VIP and more coming up over the next few weeks to months because the bowl game's coming up, and we're going to be traveling to all the camps, the Under Armour game and the Army All-American and the National Combine that they do. Lots of information. And then there's a January Junior Day that we're going to be covering and have everything for you guys on top of that. So be sure you are on OU Insider VIP. All right. That's going to do it for the OEC Fiber National Signing Day Special powered by 24/7 Sports and OUinsider.com. My name is Brandon Drumm for Parker Thune, for Spencer Forsythe on the board. We will see you guys later. Thank you all for joining us. Have a blessed day.